All right. Welcome to the late night boxing talks. There's a couple of subjects I want to broach tonight. Major four, but there are some side subjects I want to talk about. Some fights that were supposed to get made but never got off the ground. Now, I've known for some time that Stevenson versus Navarrete was a bit of a conversation, but I always felt that the Navarrete people, they probably didn't want that fight. And that's what the story is. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but if you follow Spanish ESPN, and you read the article, you'll see that, they had options. They had the option to fight Baez in August or the option to face Shakur a little later on. And it seems that they decided to fight Baez instead because, as we all know, fighting Shakur would require Emmanuel Navarrete to move up in weight. He'd have to move up to 130 pounds. And I'm sure that the purse for Stevenson would likely be more than the purse for Baez, but it's still a very risky fight. And the reason I like that fight is because I feel, that because of the style that Navarrete has, he probably could be a little bit more challenging for Shakur than Oscar was, because Navarrete is a pressure fighter and he's a southpaw. So Shakur won't go into that fight with that southpaw advantage, and he'll be coming up against a base style that doesn't favor his. So I felt like that fight would be more entertaining, although Navarrete doesn't have the size. That was the main thing for me. That's the view I have of that fight, if it ever happens, that while Navarrete is a southpaw and he does have the right style for the job, he doesn't have the right size for the job. So you could still favor Shakur to win that fight, but because this guy's so come forward and so aggressive, I feel like it won't be as quiet as the Valdez fight, that maybe Navarrete will have more success than Valdez, but he won't win the fight. And I feel like that fight is part of Shakur Stevenson's grooming process, that this is what Top Rank does. They'll throw you in there with a couple of boxer punchers. They'll throw you in there with a couple of pressure fighters. They'll throw you in there with a couple of southpaws. And all of it, in the end, it's what rounds you out as a fighter. And if you can stay in the winner's bracket and keep winning in good fashion, that's how they figure out that, you're the real thing. You're the real deal. They'll keep investing in you. That's how they groom their fighters. The thing is, it doesn't work for every fighter. It's not a fail-safe formula. It's a grooming process. They're not matching guys per se to make them look good. They're matching guys in a way to either find out how good they are or find out how good they're not. And that fight, the look of that fight, like I said, I feel like Emmanuel Navarrete has the right style for the job. He just doesn't have the right size for the job. If you were talking about a pressure fighter that's a full-fledged 130 or a 135, it's a more interesting, maybe even a more precarious situation. But because it's a guy who would be moving up from 126 to 130, having campaigned as low as 122, Navarrete, for me, he doesn't win the fight. Maybe he makes it interesting because he's more come forward and takes more chances than Oscar would, but he doesn't win the fight. JD says, same day but 1 month away from my birthday. Looking forward to seeing Kayaguchi tomorrow. Wonder if Berlanga will show his mettle. Oh, yeah, man. I mean, we got to talk about that fight and how people really feel, because I've been talking about that fight and how it's not a foregone conclusion that Edgar Berlanga wins. There's two ways you have to look at that fight. On one end, you say that Romero is a more aggressive, come-forward guy, that he's not a lateral moving guy, a stick-and-move, jab, stay behind the jab guy. He wants to hurt you. He wants to use his power. So there's two ways to look at that. It's either because he's more aggressive, he's going to get himself knocked out, or he's going to land big and knock Edgar out. It's actually a very intriguing fight, even though in many ways it's a developmental fight. What I've been seeing from Edgar's matchmaking the last two fights, it looks like they wanted to match him against movers and guys that could box, because Steve Rolls is not a big puncher. He's not an artillery guy, and he's not a volume guy. He's a guy who's going to move around the perimeter of the ring and stay behind his jab. The same applies to Coceres. He's not an artillery guy. He's not a volume guy. He's a guy who's going to move around the perimeter of the ring, and uses jab. And those were the last two fights that Edgar had. He didn't look good in either of those fights. So what that communicates is if you can move, you can make this guy look really bad. If you can move. With Romer, it's a different kind of fight with a different kind of fighter. This guy's coming in here to try to hurt you and knock you out. And because Edgar doesn't really look like he has the best chin, you get the, if you're familiar with Romero Angulo, that guy has a lot of knockouts. He's like 38 years old, Dominican fighter, I believe he is, Dominican fighter. And it's like if he lands the way that Coceres landed or better, or if he lands, some of his jabs the way that Steve Rolls landed some of his jabs, it could create a very scary situation, and I am interested in that fight. I don't have any bold proclamations. I don't have any bold predictions. I don't. That is a fight that I just have to sit back and watch it and see if Edgar improved or if he's going to get knocked the hell out. I can't tell you what's going to happen. I just know that there's a possibility. Off topic, but what would you say if Paul Butler actually did beat Newey? It definitely won't happen, but what, bro, if Paul Butler was to beat Newey, dog, I don't even know, bro. I don't know, man. Like, I wouldn't feel safe, bro. Like, I would have to go out and buy a Glock. Like, I would not feel safe, bro. Like, or another Glock or something. Like, I wouldn't feel safe. I wouldn't feel safe. But yeah, so unfortunately, Stevenson versus Navarrete, it doesn't look to be happening. It looks like the Navarrete people, they're going to decide to stay at featherweight instead and take on Baez. I don't really fault them. That's not the kind of fight you want to let anybody rush you into, Stevenson fight. But no one can accuse Stevenson of doing anything wrong, It's not his fault. Ultimately, if the Navarrete people wanted to go the other way, that's them. You can't blame Stevenson for that. And it's unfortunate that this is the way the business is, because if you think about the featherweight division, you have Leo Santa Cruz there. You have, who else? You got Josh Warrington, who has the IBF. You have Roger Gutierrez, I believe. Is it Roger Gutierrez? Does he have the W? No. It's Leo with the WBA. It's Josh with the IBF. And it's Mark Magsayo with the green belt. And what makes me sad about that situation, that they were looking at Navarrete versus Stevenson, is there are fights at featherweight for Navarrete. It's the politics that prevent those fights from happening. And I'm telling you, any one of those fights with Navarrete and Santa Cruz, or Navarrete versus Magsayo, or Navarrete versus Warrington, they all do good business. Every single one of those fights does good business, every single one of them. And every single one of those fights would have a fan-friendly aesthetic that people are going to leave the fight feeling like they just ejaculated. Like, man, what a fucking fight. But the politics, that's the main thing that holds those fights up. If you're seeing that the people at Top Rank wanted Navarrete to move up and weight for Stevenson, it's because they don't have intentions of making those fights. Leo Santa Cruz isn't going to fucking fight Navarrete, bro. Like, everybody knows that. And God bless Josh Warrington for becoming a two-time IBF featherweight champion. But be real. We all know Navarrete would murder this man. He would annihilate this man. God bless him, but he would retire him right then and there. If you thought what Mauricio Lara did was bad, put him in there with Navarrete. That's the messed up part, that there's money on the table. Those fights will sell. There's business there, and they're good fights for the fans. Those would be fights that, if they could happen, that Navarrete would become a household name as a result of those fights, that he could potentially become a superstar if you get him in there with Leo and he does to Leo what I think he can do to Leo, or Mark Magsayo, or Josh Warrington. Those are the kind of fights that almost overnight you're not going to be able to get away from Emmanuel Navarrete, because people are going to be talking about it on Sunday, on Monday at the water cooler. People are going to be talking about it. But it's unfortunate that the politics of boxing, 126 is a very political division. Matchroom has Josh, PBC has Leo and Mark, and Top Rank has Emmanuel Navarrete. And he can't get the fights that he needs, so it's kind of like, oh, well, you want to feed him to Shakur, But let's be real, he doesn't beat Shakur. He probably gives him a better fight than Oscar did, but he doesn't beat him. I don't think he has the size to beat him. I don't think he does. Just going up there to 130 just like that, I don't think he has the size to really beat this guy, but he does have the style. And, you know, we've been talking a lot about styles-based styles lately and the role that plays in how a fight looks. That if you got a pressure fighter and a pure boxer, the pressure fighter tends to give the pure boxer a lot of problems, but there are outlying factors like this one that, okay, you got the right style, but you ain't got the size to be doing what you're trying to be doing. You ain't got the size for it. So let's say you're a B+ pressure fighter at featherweight. At super featherweight, you might be a B- or a C+. It goes down because you don't have the size for what you're trying to do with this particular opponent at this particular weight. It's unfortunate. And I'm gonna open up the chat to the panel. I was goody country, was goody Ray, was goody punch. We need to come up with some kind of handicap for Butler and Newey. Let the fight start. Oh yeah, Cass as well. Ray Reyes says, I like Fulton, but I'm gonna go with the monster. You know, everybody's got Newey on the brain right now. Naoya Inoue is a guy who he you know, he's no stranger to the pound for pound list, at least not mine. He's been there for some time. I'm going to say about maybe 2.5, 3 years now. There was a moment where he was moving up in weight, and I had to take him out because he wasn't in possession of a world title. And then after the World Boxing Super Series, when he won those 2 belts, I put him back, you know, and he's been there ever since. And, you know, he's 29 years old, 3-division champion. I believe he's beaten about 4 to 5 champions already. That's saying that he took belts from about 4 or 5 guys in those 3 weight classes. I believe it's about 4 or 5. I have to look at it again because I'm old and sometimes I forget things. But I remember the number being around 4 or 5, which is impressive. And, you know, people just don't want to accept that America hasn't cornered the market on all the talent. No, they haven't. You have a Japanese fighter like Naoya Inoue, who's a draw. He doesn't need the Americans. He can sell out over there in Japan just fine, and their money's just as good as ours. He can get 20,000 people to come in and show up for a fight. He gets millions of views on their terrestrial networks, and he doesn't need the Americans. And I think that's the part that doesn't necessarily sit well with Americans, that you don't have a fighter that has to come here and do what the fuck you say. Not that it matters anyway, because he's actually doing all the things you want a fighter to do. He wants to be a unified champion. He's already a multi-weight champion. He's pursuing undisputed. It's not his fault or boxing's fault that you don't watch 112 or 115 or 118. That's just your ignorant motherfucking ass. Why you even talking about a fucking fighter that you don't even watch? But you trying to say, oh, he ain't no good. How the fuck would you know? You don't watch him. You know what I mean? And this is the type of ignorant shit that you see. They're like, bro, unless you actually watch this guy or you watch these weights, nobody need to know what you think about it. Because you high on motherfuckers for doing less. You high on Davis for beating Rolly. Was Rolly a champion or anything like that? The shit don't make sense. If you gonna be high on Charlo for beating guys like Montiel and Adams and shit, right? And you gonna be high on Davis for knocking out Rolly, how the fuck you not gonna be high on Naoya Inoue for knocking out an unbeaten champion in Emmanuel Rodriguez? How you not gonna be high on him? First 1-2, he threw it Payano. First 1-2, my fight is over. First 1-2. And they don't even realize, you know, that's the same Payano that Luis Neri had to go through the gears with. That's the same Payano. That's the same Payano. I think Danny Roman fought him too. And it went to a decision. I believe it was Danny Roman that fought him. And now, yeah, Inoue ain't had to go through all that. First 1-2. Mop, you out of here. That's it. That is it. You know what I'm saying? Let me open up the chat to the panel, and y'all know the rules of engagement. I don't want 10 people talking at the same time, and if you got some kind of shit going on in the background, you got background noise, or you in the hallway, or the aliens is about to abduct you, chill, fam. Just you don't need to be on the chat if you got all that shit going on in the background. And fuck Eson, cause fuck Eson. All right, Golovkin gonna get slid under that ring like Tarver slid Roy under that ring, and you gonna feel that shit. Daily reminder, you gonna feel that shit. Right now, I got the Superman S because I'm super petty today, and I'm gonna say super petty shit. You know what I'm saying? Here for the petty shit. Where is my man, Mr. PBC, with my money? I want my money, Mr. PBC. Send them super chats. Otherwise, I can't see what you're saying. And we got Country in the building, Eson in the building, Jay in the building, Drew in the building.
Let's get fellas.
And we got Virtuoso in the building, Leo in the building.
Hey, Country.
Let me start it off. Let me start it off. Order in the court. Now, we know that Fulton just fought Daniel Roman, right? And he won, like I said he was gonna win. You know, he won, like he won. He finessed him, you know what I mean? But the question now is, what's the next move for Fulton? And what is the next move for MJ Akhmadaliev? Fulton said that don't give him no options until he do the undisputed. So I'm gonna start with Michael, start from the bottom to the top. Michael, do you believe that Stephen Fulton really wants to become an undisputed champion? That's one. And two, do you expect that fight to happen?
It doesn't matter because PBC won't let him, bro. It's not up to them, bro. They're just slaves. Okay, it's Al Heyman and whoever the fuck.
So you don't.
Oh God!
He's
One at a time. All right. So Michael, in a nutshell, it's not that you don't believe Stephen. It's just that you like. Well, it's not up to him anyway.
That's just how I feel, and yeah, that's how I feel. Pretty much all PBC fighters, unless they're really like popular, like Spence. Like Spence chose not to fight Crawford. You know what I mean? It depends.
You taking a shower, bro?
I am actually.
Whoa! Wow!
Bro, let me go to Leo. Let me go to Leo.
I got a waterproof case, so it's okay.
He'll be all right. So let me go to Leo. Leo, same question. Do you believe Stephen really wants to fight with MJ, and do you expect to see it happen?
No, I don't expect the fight to happen. But I will say after the what was that fight? The Figueroa fight?
The Figueroa fight.
Yeah, I think Fulton is in some way the real deal in that way. But MJ is all right.
Are you impressed with MJ, Leo?
No, and I'm really don't. For a guy like Fulton, I think it's not necessarily food, but I think Fulton outclassed him easily. But if you're asking me if that fight is gonna happen, no. Because politics.
So we got two people already. They don't think this fight happens. Let me go to a new panelist, Alex Newman. Alex, Stephen says he wants the fight, you know. He says he wants it. I don't know that they've done anything to actually get it, to be real with you, though I can say the same thing about MJ. The question I have for you is, do you believe he really wants it, and do you expect to see it happen?
Hey, first of all, just wanted to say, longtime listener, appreciate you having me on. I usually listen after the fact, but I figured I would just pop in real quick because I saw you were live and I was free right now. But to answer your question, I would say Fulton wants it, but will it happen? Probably not. Everybody knows, Al Heyman does not have much of a track record for letting his fighters cross platforms, and I don't know if I see the PBC seeing the value in bringing MJ over, but I don't know. You never know. You could possibly see it on Showtime. Obviously, the odds of him going over to DAZN are slim to none. So
that's true. Maybe they send MJ over to Showtime. Let me read these two super chats. Then I'm going to go to Virtuoso in New York City. Newey to DAZN, more exposure for that kid. Trust me, Dennis. Bob is going to hang on to that man. He's not going to let him go over there. Steven Munoz says, not going to lie, I was stoked for Navarrete versus Shakur. Navarrete is huge for 126, 130, and is very awkward. He mentioned moving up to 147 at the end of his career. Trust me, bro. At 130, he'll start to look normal. Virtuoso, different question. What do you think about MJ as a fighter?
Well, first off, I think he needs a barber because I think they use a slice of bread to line up his hairline. Like, for real. Like I saw MJ about 4 years ago on HBO. I thought he looked impressive. You know, a guy who's not a stingy puncher, who's kind of an action fighter. But I've seen him regress a little bit defensively, you know. But it's really tough to really gauge his talent when he's not matched up against the best out there. And I think Stephen Fulton is the best. And I do think that he wants to fight the best out there. But it's just that I don't know if it's the PBC cabal of managers will acquiesce to his demand. I'm just not sure about that.
You have no expectations of seeing this fight.
No, I don't see it. I think people, some people are not keen on to the style matchup. They just look at the commercial side of things. Like, oh, this guy isn't well known, so we're okay with matching him up against some nobody.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Drew, and I have a different question for Drew because Drew is of the Capricornian order, so I really got to just get him to use his powers. Drew, you know, Newey, he racks up a beautiful second round knockout, you know, on a Tuesday. Beautiful, sensational. America was watching because a lot of Americans were talking about it. So when you see Americans, particularly ones that are big proponents of the PBC, when you see that they start talking about Newey in reference to a Fulton fight, what do you think that's all about?
First, before I get to the answer, Jules, I need to know your size because I'm going to get a gift for you. I got to get you that leather Levi denim that Joe Gooston was wearing because only you can pull it off like Joe. Jules, tell me that wasn't fly-ass shit Joe was wearing, though.
Bro, I can only hope that when I'm Joe Gooston's age, I look that fucking fly, bro. Because he looked like he could just kill everybody in the room and go fry an egg, bro. He's the coolest fucking guy, I swear to God. Joe
Probably
Gooston
one of the
is
most stylish guys in
rocking a
boxing.
leisure suit.
I'm telling you, man. But yes, Drew, you know, like I know, like everybody on this panel knows that Newey is a top-ranked fighter. Stephen Fulton is a PBC fighter. And for the longest time, what we heard is that because Crawford was a top-ranked fighter, it was okay to delay the Spence fight. But then all of a sudden, now Inoue, with all his power and all his glory, he does what he always does. And now these guys want to match him against the PBC guy. What is it, Drew? Like, what are we looking at?
It's a combination of things that, one, we don't like to get onto it on this channel, but it goes back to what Damian Lillard said over a year and a half ago. I'm not sold on Newey, and I got Tank on my pound for pound over him. So they're just running with more of that rhetoric where, like it or not, in the pound for pound list, Newey has the most exciting fights out of everybody in terms of what he does to elite talent at his weight classes. He dominates them more than any other guy on the pound for pound list.
Yep.
With the exception of maybe Crawford, but Crawford has shown moments where he's gotten hit and gotten dropped against you know who I'm talking about. Mean Machine. We've never seen Newey in any trouble other than getting his skull cracked. And what did he do in this? He annihilated a
Hall of Famer.
He annihilated a Hall of Famer in fucking 2 rounds.
Yeah. That don't happen every day.
And it's xenophobia because Newey could stay in Japan with the Honorable Mr. Honda, sell 30,000 tickets, have rock stars playing their guitar before he enters the ring, and make 7 figures, right, Jules?
Bro, listen, Newey, look, let me say this. I got to jump on camera for this. Listen, I've never been more proud to be Japanese. He makes me proud to be
Sing
Japanese.
the song, I'm turning Japanese. I think I'm turning Japanese.
No, but on some real shit, see, this is what gets me about it before I move on to Jay, that how are the same people that thought it was okay to delay the Crawford fight because Crawford was a top-ranked fighter. How are the same people that thought it was okay to delay that fight just because he's with Top Rank, why are they all gung-ho for Newey, a top-ranked fighter, to fight Stephen Fulton? Now, I'm going to say this. I'm a boxing fan. I'm not a cocksucker like them motherfuckers, right? So if you tell me Stephen Fulton versus Newey, I like the fight. I like the fight. But you know who has to cross the street, and it's not Newey. Simple as. Do you command an audience of 20,000 screaming quackers? Screaming pandas? 20,000 screaming anything? No, you don't. So you need to cross, if you want it, cross the street. Because you're not on even terrain. He has a country behind him.
Well, even I could ask you this, Jules. Say, okay, how about this? He has to be willing to go to Japan. And, okay, let Showtime get the American rights.
Fuck that.
I know. But that would be
that.
If we're negotiating in good faith, which they don't do on that side.
Fuck that.
If they really wanted to fight.
Listen, fuck. You know why you say fuck that? Because if the shoe was on the other foot and it's a fighter that they have that can do in Japan, right? That can do in America what he knew he does in Japan, do they negotiate in good faith? No. It's the game, bro. If you want to use that man's name to have articles written about you, cross the street, bro. Do what my man Devin did. Cross the street. That's why I'm glad he set that example so you could tell the real from the fake. He gambled it all going to Australia. I don't care if the fight was boring, the Joe Blow and who the fuck, right? I don't care. He gambled it all going to Australia. Hostile territory. Hostile territory. Daddy can't come. Cut man can't come. There's quackers everywhere. There's fucking spiders under the chair. All right? People putting fucking Vegemite on everything. But he fucking did that. He did that.
And Jules, he didn't even take that much of a pay cut when the numbers really came out.
Listen, it's not the point. The point is that, look, you got Americans that really think that just because they're American, somehow they're better or they're in power. This is not the fucking 80s, bro. It's not. The 80s, it's not.
You had Americans running around saying Devin took a fucking slave deal and Top Rank was fucking showing more racial bias when he said, I'd take the same deal Lomachenko got.
Basically, now I'm going to go to Jay. Jay,
he did it like it was supposed to be done, man, and he showed everybody that.
Exactly. Jay, you got to know, he's this guy. He's one of the most powerful guys I've ever seen. If One Punch Man were a real person, his name would be Naoya Inoue.
That's a fair assessment. I agree.
I was trying to be fair. And, he does what he does, and all of a sudden, him being a top-ranked fighter isn't an issue. Well, then why the fuck was it an issue when Crawford was with them? Talk to me, Jay. What is it?
Because, it's clear bias and narratives that the PBC is trying to spread. But it's partial with certain fighters. But man, I don't know what it is about Inoue, but, y'all know the term elite, right?
Makes me proud to be Japanese, bro.
I know. I mean, they need to come up with a word beyond that because that's what Newey is. Like seriously, that dude is beyond elite. I mean, I'm still comprehending what I saw. I mean, I didn't expect him to do that to Nonito. I really didn't, and I kind of don't like him now because I fucks with Nonito. But also, Jules, thank you for taking down that picture of MJ. He looked like the Joker. That was starting. I was getting creeped out. Seriously,
whose phone is that? Whose phone is that?
That ain't me.
Mine. I'm sorry.
All right, we got JBN and we got Coach Malachi backstage. So let me go to Country. Country, before I say anything, for our Japanese people in the house, if y'all didn't catch that, that's right. Country, he knocks the guy out, right? Everybody thought it was going to be like the first fight, that it's going to be a war. We're going to get drama in Saitama too. And he killed it before it even got to turn into a war. Yeah, what do you think about Naoya Inoue?
Oh, the man's a beast. I'm not going to say he's invincible, but he's a beast. And he is definitely an elite fighter or above. He's going to be a challenge no matter who he faces. And he's got some real dog in him. I think, the other question I want, this is going to flow into this, what you're talking about, but Fulton and Akhmadaliev, I think Fulton wants to fight, but as long as PBC and Al Heyman are involved, they're going to block it. But I would have liked to have seen Fulton, beat Akhmadaliev and be undisputed, and then have a Newey become undisputed, because he'll blow Butler out the water, and then have the super fight with him and a Newey. That and both undisputed at the two different weight classes. That
country. Does this fight happen between MJ and do you feel like, is it even remotely possible, or no? Just no.
Absolutely not, because the PBC and Al Heyman are involved.
I'm gonna go to Coach Malachi. Coach, you've seen Stefan, great boxer. I like him. He's one of the few PBC fighters I like, him and Jermel. And, MJ's a good little fighter, Olympian or something like that. Great amateur background, some shit. Do we see this fight?
You talking about Fulton and Newey?
Fulton and MJ.
Oh, MJ? Man, you know what, man? You know how the politics is, bro. I don't know, man. I don't think we're gonna see that fight, bro. Like I'm just being honest with you. I don't think we're gonna see it, man. Certain fighters that are on certain levels, mysteriously, when it's time to make certain fights, it's difficult. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I mean, on one end, and I'm gonna go to JBN with this. On one end, Crawford being a top-ranked fighter, he's on the wrong side of the street. Well, he knew he's on the same fucking side of the street that Crawford was on. So why are they using his name, JBN? What the hell is happening?
It's that narrative, man. They just like to pick and choose. You know how them PBC fanboys are. They like to pick and choose who they want their pound for pound, who their favorite fighter wants to fight. It's just biasness. At this point, it's just bias. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to look at it.
Estos vatos no son de este planeta, bro. So,
no, ellos son de este planeta, pero soy yo el extraterrestre, porque yo no estoy involucrado en toda esa vaina. Yo veo el boxeo para el boxeo. Nada más el boxeo y el boxeo.
Now, Julius, do they have boxing Krypton?
No, we don't have boxing on Krypton. What we do is we get a single piece of what you call wood, we put a nail in it, and we just swing away at each other till somebody gets hit.
Now, I got a question for Jules in the panel. You're the trainer of the next guy facing a Newey. Are you letting him wear 6-ounce Clito Reyes gloves?
I mean, look. This is the other thing, is that whatever we saw, because I saw some people trying to throw shade. I saw some people trying to raise a stink, right? And what these people don't realize is the terms of engagement were agreed upon by both parties. Nonito accepted those terms, that this guy's going to wear Clito Reyes gloves.
Wait.
And I love those fucking gloves. Those are the only gloves I use, Clito Reyes.
How is that shade? I don't understand. I know the Clito Reyes are supposed to be the puncher gloves.
Yeah.
Because they are most suitable for guys who pack a big punch. But how is that shade?
Well, I mean, really, it's minutia, Leo. To me, it's minutia. To me, it's like, look, bro, what do you like Clito Reyes or whatever, or winning gloves or whatever, bro, whatever kind of fucking glove the guy can punch. We've seen that, we've seen that. It took, bear in mind, it took Luis Neri, who's supposed to be a puncher. It took him, I believe it was 7 rounds for the same Payano that he dispatched in one off the first 2 punches that he threw.
Wow.
Look, what I have heard from long time is that Inoue has been fighting with pillows most of his career, and he's been knocking motherfuckers out left and right.
Mm-hmm.
So how is this shade?
No entiendo. Tú sabes lo que es. Esta gente no conoce la carrera de ese muchacho, pero sin embargo quieren hablar mierda. Eso es lo que es. Ellos no saben que ese muchacho, he already dethroned about 4 to 5 champions. They don't know that because they don't watch those weights. Pero porque le gustaba la mierda y no se callan, that's what we're seeing. If you don't even follow the 112, the 115, or the 118, shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
You literally not warranted to talk about a division you don't fucking watch.
And
You know,
Damian Lillard.
let me say this. I don't got nothing against the NHL, but I've never been big on hockey. Do you fucking see me sitting around talking about who's the best hockey player? No. Because I wouldn't fucking know.
Hey, Jules, one of the guys in the comments seemed to think Navarrete could beat Newey.
Maybe. He's a very big guy.
He's fucking huge.
He's fucking very big
It goes
guy.
back to like what Jules said. Like Damian Lillard says he's a hardcore, but was talking greasy about Anua. Like, come on, bro. We know you don't watch boxing.
No, it's like, you know what it is. I wanna look. Shout out to Damian Lillard because he did something that a lot of these bums in America don't do. He did go out there to support Devin. He did, and I thought that was dope that he did that because Devin is far from home. It's not that many familiar faces in the crowd, but at least you know, hey, Damian Lillard is there. He came and said what up, dapped you up. That's dope. That was a beautiful thing to me, right? So even though he don't know everything, it's cool. Let him figure it out and let him learn. But all these other motherfuckers that sit at home all day arguing about this shit, bro, if you don't watch 112 and you don't watch 115 and you don't watch 118, why are you even talking about it when you literally don't know the ball from the bounce? You don't know these fighters. You don't know this fighter, but you're trying to evaluate him when you don't fucking watch him. Stick to Davis versus Rowley and Charlo versus Suzuki. You know, stick to that. You stick to that. What you talking about is beyond you, yo. Right? Let me read the super chat. I never heard of anybody agree to fight a known puncher with Everlast gloves. He might as well have agreed to fight the man with spiked hand wraps. Well, that's what we do on Krypton. That's how we fight. And
will you ever take me to your planet? I want to visit your planet, Julius.
On my planet, all the vaginas have tongues in them on my planet.
Oh my god.
That's right.
Could you
fucking
imagine?
Right.
Yo, how funny is it that
He looks like he got a
Oh my God! What happened to Oscar's face?
Space Coke, man.
Well, you know, Oscar De La Hoya wants to run for the mayor of Las Vegas, Nevada. That's what he said.
That's a joke. That's a joke, right?
I mean, bro.
Oh, put that picture you have of him with the fishnet fucking.
We don't want to see that. We don't want to see that.
Bro, his political rivals would tear his ass to pieces.
God.
I mean, he has so many skeletons, and every politician has dirty laundry. Every politician has skeletons in the closet, but Oscars are publicized already. You're a substance abuser. You got like this is all politician stuff. So he'd make a great politician. The problem is all your stuff is public. They know you like hookers. They know you like coke. They know you like the party. It'll never work.
Jules, I have to refute that, Jules. The average American will relate to that. He's one of us.
Hey,
Yeah,
wait.
Oscar can get busted snorting a line off a hooker's ass and nobody would blink.
I mean, look, I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him that he just wants to party, and I don't party how he parties. You know, I don't party that way. But that is what he wants.
Don't wear fish.
I mean, wasn't there a Toronto mayor?
Huh?
Wasn't there a Toronto mayor named Tom Ford that smoked crack? And Washington D.C. had a similar with Marion Barry. I mean, what's happening with Oscar?
Yeah.
I mean, look, if he runs Las Vegas, Nevada, the same way he's run Golden Boy Promotions, yeah, I think that could be a problem, bro. I think that could be a problem.
I think he's going to sell the company. You think he's going to sell the company?
Yes, 100% I do.
He hasn't been putting that much effort into it lately. That explains why, kind of.
Wait, fellas.
One at a time. Go ahead, JBN. Say it again.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that I've noticed that he really hasn't been putting that much effort into it, and he doesn't really care about making like those big fights anymore. So that kind of explained to me that he's like probably trying to get rid of it, cash out.
I think so. Go ahead, country.
Fellas, speaking of entertainment, have you guys heard Wilder and his brother put out a song?
Ain't no but man, ain't no man, like man, man. Listen, this is the main thing that this is the main problem that Oscar has. He can keep his fighters busy, he can get them fights, and he can keep doing shows at a certain level. But all these guys are at the point where they need to be fighting for titles, and the only way they fight for a title is if he lets them go fight for a title. You gotta let Jaime go to Showtime. You gotta let Zerto go to Matchroom for a Matchroom show because you're not gonna pay Bivol what he need to get paid. Feel me? Like you're not gonna pay him that. You don't have that. So if Zerto wants a shot, it gotta be a Matchroom show, and that's the problem that he has. Look at Virgil. Virgil is a world-class fighter. I already see it. He world class. But if you want him to fight for a belt, you gotta send him out. And he doesn't want to send him out. He doesn't want to send nobody out because he doesn't have the bodies to spare. So he's stuck between a rock and a hard place that, you can only get these guys certain kinds of fights with certain kind of fighters. When it's time to fight for a belt, you're going to have to let some other promoter do the show because you can't afford to pay Bivol, fam. What the fuck? Like, you still in litigation with Kovalev.
I just have to say this, Jules.
Yeah, they
You
ain't
called
paid
this.
him yet.
You called this though, Jules. Right around the time the Canelo beef with Oscar, so you said he should have just sold to Matchroom in his own. I remember that on a live.
Yeah, he'd have been better off.
That would have been the best thing for him to do. Or more importantly, if you don't want to give up what you have, right? If you can't beat him, what do?
Join him.
Join him.
Join him. Do business with Eddie. Be friends with Eddie. If Eddie has juice at Matchroom, why the fuck would you beef with him? If he got the juice, right? If you the stepchild and you get the cold dinner and he gets the warm hot plate, right? Why you beefing with him? How does that help your situation?
And the funny part is Oscar was talking about going in the Hall of Fame as a boxer and a promoter.
He's a shit promoter.
And the funny thing is, Oscar thought it was going to be all pastures green on the other side with the Triller money. That fell apart, so he had to go back to the zone. And they're in the same position. Mayweather Promotions, they can't afford to pay to have their fighters fight elite talent.
It's an ongoing conversation when it comes to Devin Haney, and it kills me that some people are so easily fooled. You know what I mean? That Davis is doing all right. Let's be transparent. He's doing all right for the kind of people that he's fighting. That you fighting Rolly Romero's and Isaac Cruz's, right? But you really can't afford Devin Haney because Devin just got $2.8 million. Are you gonna give him that? If you're not gonna give him that, then you can't afford him, bro. So how is it that you're a cash cow that cannot afford to pay a guy $2.8 million? Really, it would be more than that because I'm sure Devin would want more than $2.8 million for that fight. He'd probably want 3, 4, maybe even 5. And if you don't have that to give him, guess what? You're not no fucking cash cow. How could you be a cash cow and you can't pay for top opposition? Then how are you a cash cow?
Are we talking about Ryan or Javante?
No, we talking about Javante. We talk. Look.
Can we
I'm
stop
gonna ask
talking
you a
about
question,
Javante?
Michael. Let me ask you a question. Is Caleb Plant a $10 million fighter?
Absolutely not.
Nope.
But how did he get the $10 million?
Because he actually fought a cash cow.
There it
Canelo can
is.
generate that money. That's why.
So when you think about Javante and how much Leonard likes to call him a superstar and Madonna was at just goofy shit. Listen, bro, if you saying that you can't afford to pay Devin without taking a loss, because I'm reading in between the lines, that's what you're saying. I got to pay you what you weigh. I got to pay you what you weigh. You telling me you ain't got it, fam. That's what you telling me. You ain't got it. Because if you put up, let's say you put up 3.5 for Devin, then 3 or 3.5 for Davis. You saying that y'all might take an L. That's what you're saying. Otherwise, you do the show because you know you'd get the money back. Canelo can get, they could negotiate for a Caleb Plant to get 10 M's. Yeah, they could do that because they know Canelo got the bread. They know he good for the money. You're not good for the money. You can't pay nobody. So you're going to keep fighting the Cruzes and Romeros of the world. That's what's going on.
Jules, what do you think a pay-per-view like that does, though, Jules? Honestly, Tank versus Haney pay-per-view.
I don't think.
500.
Wait, say it again. Wait, say it again. Which pay-per-view?
What do you think a Davis Haney pay-per-view does now, or after his Top Rank deal?
325.
No,
325.
Wow.
325.
3
Not
to
half a
4.
mil?
I think 3 to 4, right?
You don't think it would be
Not
higher
for-
than that, Jules?
Not for no, not yet. I mean, over time, the value can grow, but because Haney is undisputed, remember, you put your thinking cap on. If you do the fight with Haney, right, it is going to have a different energy for the fight fans than all these other fights. That's one. Two, you can market it as an undisputed fight because that's what it is. But realistically, you're talking about a small pool of people. You're not talking about a lot of people. You're talking about a small pool of people who watch the little guys, the guys at 35. That's really not that many people, fam. So I'm thinking about it like, if they did that fight, 325, 350. 325 to 350. That's the size of that fight right now if it were next. Could it be bigger? Of course. Over time, any fight can get bigger. Any fight. But right now, 325, 350.
Hey, Jules. Well, I'm gonna ask you a question, man. I have to say this. Now, you know, Leonard Ellaby unblocked me and he follows me now.
Really?
Yeah, he unblocked me and he follows me. Not only does he follows me, he liked one of my liked the video, the show I did today, and retweeted it. So I'm trying to figure out what his end game is, because you know no one clowns Leonard Ellaby more than me. But people think that when I say, okay, I get it now, he's saying that Tank Davis is an attraction, like SeaWorld, you know,
Disney World, all that shit.
The Muppets. Shit like that, right? Sesame Street.
Like Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
But like y'all know what Leonard's problem is with Eddie, why I think he's so upset. Y'all want to hear this?
What?
Let me drop some knowledge on y'all. It's his breast is sore from breastfeeding Tank. That's what it is.
Well, hold on. Let me read these super chats. Let me read these super chats. Will says, "Bro, a cam girl liked my comment I sent Oscar." Yeah, that keeps happening to me too. These cam joints, I don't be knowing where they coming from. Rider of the Storm says, "Actually, that will work in Las Vegas." You know what? You're right. If more people on the ground know about Oscar's cocaine addiction, he might get more votes. That's the people.
Yeah, it'd be a stress-free campaign because everything he likes is already legal there.
That's true. You know what? Maybe he's the mayor that Vegas needs.
Yeah, he might fit in really well.
So let me go to Julio.
Wait,
let me go to Julio.
Oh, wait,
Malachi dropped off. He dropped off. Let me go to Julio. Julio hasn't had the chance to talk. Julio, you know, after the Daniel Roman fight, Stephen Fulton, you know, he took to his social media and he said before, you know, there are any other options, he needs undisputed. Do you believe that he wants that? And do you expect to see it happen?
I think he does want it. Everyone knows it's not going to happen.
Do you like his chances in that fight?
Yeah, I think it's more a 50-50 fight. I do give MJ a chance. You know, Southpaw throws a lot of feints. I think he'll be a good style matchup, but it's not going to happen. It's just a fantasy fight.
All right, now let's go back to Coach Malachi. Coach, Leonard Ellaby has decided to follow you, and a lot of people now a lot of people are becoming concerned that you've received financial incentives to release pro-Gervonta Davis propaganda by way of the YouTube streaming platform. What do you have to say to these people? Because a lot of people are worried.
Yeah, Coach.
A lot of people are worried. People said you changed, that you let it get to your head, and people are starting to worry.
The double agent allegations are out there now, Coach.
Hey, Jules, I have to go undercover, brother. I have to get the information so I can bring it back to the people. You see what I'm saying? I work for the people, right?
Bro, Leonard can smell you a mile away, man. That's not gonna work. He can
What did you
smell
say,
you a
Coach?
mile away, bro.
If the masses don't, how's it go, Coach? If the masses don't benefit, the people ain't in it.
There are a lot of people that said they saw you at Carmine's in New York City having a dinner with Leonard Ellerbe, and it didn't look right. There was something unethical about it. That you're supposed to be against this kind of corruption, and here you are breaking bread and eating spaghetti with the enemy who follows you on your social media. What do you have to say to these people?
You're killing me. I can't breathe. Okay.
Okay.
Coach, you good?
Okay, hold
good,
on.
Coach?
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. It does make me look bad. If I was on the outside looking in, I would be thinking the same thing. I promise you guys, I had nothing to do with it. I'm just as shocked
Coach,
as you are.
Coach,
One
I
day-
have a sorry. I have a question.
Leo from the Chilean press has a couple of questions. Everybody, one at a time.
I have a question for Coach. Look, we can hear now. You are laughing your ass off. Is Leonard Ellerbe currently tickling you right now?
Hey, listen. Hey, you
Coach,
see?
no, it needs to be asked. For the betterment of the country, are you in the middle of a tickle fight with Leonard Ellerbe?
You see,
Oh,
brother.
God.
It's
Oh,
about
God.
putting butts in
Brothers
seats.
Part 4, the Ellerbe Chronicles.
It's about putting butts in seats. See, what you guys don't realize is Frank Davis is an attraction. All of this, the best. These guys who you say is the best, yeah. They're good for hardcore boxing fans, but these guys, they have to be realistic. When they want to come over here, all roads lead to Tank.
And there it is. Let me read the super chat. Will says, negative news is still good news in marketing. By talking about him, you raise his profile, putting more money in his pocket. Of course, he loves the coach. Well, can I remind you, gentlemen, that a little-known Australian fighter named George, that's his name, he made a $10 million payday aspiring to be great. See, what I take away from all of this is that, and I've said this on many occasions, Tank and Leonard are settling into mediocrity. And to the eyes of babes, it's not mediocrity. They think that because Madonna, who's not popping anymore anyway, came to the fight, that means something. But what really matters is at the gate, and what really matters is the pay-per-view buys. That's what really matters. And it seems to me that he's stuck. You're stuck. You can't crack 300,000. You've been on pay-per-view 4 times. These numbers were better than the Cruz numbers, but the Cruz numbers were exceptionally bad because 2 weeks out from the fight, you swapped out the opponent, How much longer does this go on before people start to say, well, look, I like Davis, but he's not going to fight the people that I want to see him fight? You know what I mean? I want to see him fight a Lopez or a Haney or a Stevenson when the time comes. And that's why I feel that he's on borrowed time. You can only do this for so long. You don't have enough bodies over there to put him in there with. You know what I mean? You're probably going to do an Isaac Cruz rematch, right? Or maybe, I don't know if Gary's up for it. Maybe he takes a leap of faith, jumps from 26 up to 35. They'll eat it up just because Gary's got a fucking mouth. But at the end of the day, it all ends the same way, and it doesn't fool the people that matter, because you need the other people that buy other fights to buy that fight. Otherwise, he never crosses over. They think he crossed over already, and he didn't. Ryan thinks he crossed over already, and he didn't. He thinks he crossed, no, you didn't cross over already. You look more and more like an influencer moonlighting as a boxer as opposed to a boxer moonlighting as an influencer.
Yes.
I think he crossed genders.
You know what? Jules, like Isaac actually might get him in a rematch. I mean, like with a full training camp, who knows what might happen? Because if he gave him that much trouble, like on short notice before, with a full training camp and he's focused, he might get him second time around.
Well, look. To be fair, stylistically, if they're you have to look at things. The pendulum swings both ways. Tank wasn't getting ready for an Isaac Cruz. He was getting ready for a retard. So
That's true. That's true. That's true.
So and Tank, y'all know. Wait, one at a time. Y'all know that I'm not big on Tank, but when I look at that fight, Tank has the style to beat Isaac Cruz 9 times out of 10. He's a boxer puncher. Isaac is a pressure fighter. He's got the drop on him. Now, if you're talking about Isaac and a pure boxer like a Haney, Isaac actually has the right style for Haney. Gervonta has the right style for Isaac, and Devin has the right style for Gervonta. That's how it breaks down at 135. Devin has the style to undress Gervonta Davis. You don't get to counter me, bro, because I'm not going to give you nothing to counter. There's nothing to counter here. The same applies to Shakur Stevenson. If it's Davis and Stevenson, there's nothing to counter here, bro. I'm too responsible for you to do to me what you did to Leo and what you did to Rolly Romero. But when you put the shoe on the other foot, what is the weakness of the pure boxer? The come forward, aggressive, risque, pressure fighter. That he doesn't care about your jab, bro. He gives 2 fucks about your fucking jab. He's going to eat it. Gervonta Davis broke his hand on Isaac Cruz's head. That's how much he gives a fuck about a jab.
Hey, Jules. All jokes aside, what I was trying to say was, I'm literally making mockery of these fans who, not all of them, I don't want to be disrespectful, but the fanboys who love Tank Davis. When you have a promoter telling you, I can take, Rolly Romero and bring 18,000 plus to the Barclays Center, and his fans will be enthusiastic about watching him fight Rolly Romero, a guy who has more experience in judo, or what's it, judo?
Yeah, judo.
Yeah. More experience in judo than boxing. Hey, Leonard Ellaby is the best promoter in boxing. For him to pull that off, like literally, like for him, and then to actually have people really believe that Rolly Romero had a shot at knocking him out. I said, you know what, man? Bro, this is not about boxing. This is not about fighting the best. They're saying, listen, we're not putting him in there with no killers. We're going to continue to put him in there with attractions. Rolling Romero's, build somebody up. I'm like, bro, but it's something that you said. How long are you going to be able to continue to milk the gravy train? Eventually, you're going to have to fight somebody.
Hey, Coach, what you're saying is he's basically made a career out of running game on the casuals.
Yes, sir. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, let's 2017. That's the last time we fought somebody good. That's the only time we fought somebody good, actually.
Honestly, yeah.
It's 2022.
Let's not forget that Leo Santa Cruz is a guy that was beaten by Carl Frampton, who was moving up in weight.
He was putting hands on Tank. He was putting them hands.
He was putting hands on Tank.
He had a puffy eye at and everything too.
Started his career like 108.
You know what I mean? And I just see a thing where and I think it was Michael. It was either Michael. No, it was Willie that said this, and he said it not that long ago in the chat that the more we talk about the guy, the more it lends itself to his notoriety at minimum, because negative press or positive press, it's still press, it's still publicity, and that's why I'm kind of hovering around right now. That when Tank has a fight. Maybe I shouldn't talk about it, because you know what? You're not going to get my money until you fight the Devin Haneys of the world. Like you're not going to get my money, you understand? Until these are the kind of people you're fighting, you don't get in my pocket. So why am I even talking about your fight?
I'm going to stream that shit.
Fucking right. I'm saying fuck that shit so that Leonard knows. And you tell Leonard that, Coach.
It's going to be Isaac Cruz too, and then Rolly Romero too.
Jules, see, the problem is, it's about putting butts in seats. Leonard, me and Leonard, I'm trying to get on this good side now, Jules. Trying to get on this good side. So, hey, Jules, bro, all jokes aside, guys, panel. I know we clowning, bro. I swear, I just woke up one day. I said, damn, I got an alert from Twitter. Said someone is following me. I looked, I screenshotted it. I said, this Leonard Ellaby? So I say, no, this got to be a fake account. So I actually clicked on it. Go ahead, Jules.
I'm going to say this. Don't go to no Mayweather Promotions fights.
They gonna jump you. They gonna jump you.
Look, we're
Yeah,
gonna lose
man.
Coach. He's gonna start on his live stream. He's gonna start wearing blazers and turtlenecks and shades, man.
Don't go. I'm telling you now. The universe just told me to tell you.
Stay the hell away.
Go to a Top Rank show. Go to a Matchroom show. Go to a Queensbury show. Do not go to a Mayweather Promotion show.
Whatever you do.
You know the worst part about Tank is that he actually can beat most of these guys. I
don't
at
know.
35,
Bro,
I think he beats Devin, honestly.
I'm gonna say this. This is the all right. Let me say this. This is the problem that I see Tank has, which is why I'm on the fence. You mostly win, mostly due to mistakes that other people make. And when I look at those other guys, like Devin, for example, Devin is not maybe fun to watch for a lot of people, but if you know your boxing, he's got a perfect jab. You like, how are you going to counter it, Dave? Javante, how are you going to counter it? How? He's long, like he's literally taller than you are and longer than you are, and he's quick to where he throws that jab, he'll pop you with it. If you try to come forward and throw a lead hook or something or a counter hook, he can take a half step back, mop, and you're back on the outside. And he'll just do that for 12. That's one of those fights where a lot of other people, they're gonna have to see it to believe it, that Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, they undress him, man. That's all that shit you do. All that shit you be doing with these guys, you can't do that to them. They're not gonna fall for it.
They have a style to beat him, and they have chins. Like Leo didn't have a chin. Rolly,
you know what would have been a good one if he didn't move up was his Tank versus Tio, man. That would have been a good one.
That's a good action fight. You know what? I'm glad you said that. The reason that's a good action fight is because both Teofimo Lopez and Gervonta Davis, they're both boxer punchers, and they both like to work off the counter. The real difference is the guard. You know, Tio likes to roll punches off the shoulder, and he's an orthodox fighter. Gervonta does that to some degree, but he's a southpaw. You know what I mean? And they're both hard hitters. They're both power punches. That if you want to make a blockbuster fight, that Gervonta stands a decent enough chance of winning, decent enough that you should make it, that would be the fight. But Devin and Shakur, more Shakur than Devin, because Shakur can take away your southpaw advantage. Now it's just going to come down to boxing, not you being a southpaw and the angles you be cutting. Now it's just going to come down to who is the better boxer, who can fight their fight. That's Shakur. He plays with that kid, man. No bullshit. He plays with that kid. You don't have no advantage. A lot of these other guys that are out there, you don't have advantages over them. You have an advantage over a Rolly, right? Because he had a little bit of success.
And he's a retard. He's a
fucking retard.
Oh, man,
but wait, when's the last time Gervonta fought a southpaw?
Say it again?
When's the last time Gervonta fought a southpaw? I can't think of it.
I don't think he ever has.
Wow.
When's the last time he fought a pure boxer?
I don't think he ever has, and that's for a reason. Think about it. Pedraza is not a pure boxer. That's a boxer puncher. He goes in there trying to hurt you, but he can box you to do it. That's what makes him the boxer puncher. Yeah, you want to get off his shots, but he's not going to be careless like a pressure fighter that he's just coming forward, leading with his face, throwing looping hooks. That's not how he fight. That's a pressure guy. Now, Gervonta Davis is going to have the drop on any guy like Isaac Cruz, like Emmanuel Navarrete, like Miguel Burchelt. Those are all pressure guys that they're going to come forward and they're going to throw. They're going to give him all the opportunities he needs to counter what they throw because it's wide. But with Devin, no, bro. There's nothing to counter, bro. What the hell are you going to do? There's nothing to counter. There's no opening. You can't counter his jab because here's why. Devin has speed, but he also has length. Gervonta has speed, but not length. You're going to be on the outside of this guy like George was on the outside of this guy. It'll be more interesting with you because you're a southpaw, and there'll be a little bit more tension. But the dynamic of the fight is not dissimilar. You need to get within striking distance to do anything. Before you can do anything, you need to be close to him. And Devin is not going to let you get close to him. He's not.
Look what he did to George.
And people are going to say, well, George, I understand that George is not Gervonta, but the base style is similar. What messed it up for George is you're not doubling up on you're not a pressure fighter, basically. You don't apply pressure. You wait for the other guy to make a mistake. Well, while you waiting for that mistake and it don't happen, the fight is over. The fight is over. With Gervonta, people would be in awe. They're like, yo, you really can't do nothing? You can't, double up on the jab, slip and slide? No, Gervonta's not a pressure fighter. If you're looking for a guy who's going to slip and slide, stay off center while he's coming forward, that's a pressure guy. Doubling up on the jab when he does it, bringing over a loop, that's a pressure guy. That's not Gervonta. Look at the punch. Watch his fights, and then look at the punch stats after the fight. This guy don't throw a lot of punches. Character, even in fights that he win, he don't throw a lot of punches in fights that he win. So what happens when he in there with a guy, you can't, there's no opportunities. There's nothing to counter. Nothing. What's going to happen? You lose on points. And people end up saying, damn, I guess he wasn't all that. They're going to talk about you on Sunday morning how they talked about George. There's all worried. There's all worried before the fight. Oh, George ain't shit now on Sunday morning. George ain't shit. George is not a bad fighter. That's what happens when the boxer puncher meets the pure boxer. There's nothing to counter. There's nothing you can do.
It was a
That
B-level
George's
boxer
not that good.
puncher against like an A-level pure
Well,
boxer. So
Hey,
obviously
and Jules, you hit the nail right on the head, man. Jules and everybody on the panel, and I'm like, bro, like I'm sitting here dumbfounded, questioning my boxing knowledge, and I'm like, bro, like how are they pulling this off? Like, how was he able to Rolly Romero? Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. And then it hit me. I said, you know what, man? Literally, Leonard Ellaby can announce that Tank Davis is fighting me next. We can have Jules as my manager. We can have Jules as my manager. Bro, listen. You laughing, B. Check this out. You know I talk a lot of trash. I can sell that fight. I got Jules is my manager. You know what I mean? And
Coach, don't make me make a poster, bro, because I'll make a fucking poster.
Listen, make the poster, Jules.
The press conference. Just imagine the press conference. Bro.
Make the poster, Jules.
Make the poster, Jules. Jules,
Let me say this. You have to pay attention. Outside of Pedraza, which I think is the only solid fighter that was solid when he fought him. Outside of that, you got to pay attention to who they fought, who they put him in there with. Now, what's one of Leo Santa Cruz's characteristics? He throws a lot of punches. He doesn't have a lot of power, but he throws a lot of punches. So for a counter puncher, you a kid in a candy store with him because he throws a lot of punches. But a guy who don't throw a lot of punches, that if you take a half step forward, he takes a half step back, he shoots the jab, keeps you out there. Like you might even see Devin do to Gervonta what he did to George, where he stuck the lead hand out there and just moved with the shit. Like, nah, son. It's beautiful. Like, I can appreciate it because I know what he's doing. Like, I appreciate it. Like, I didn't think it was that exciting, but I appreciated it because that's like a good fight where if you want to understand what motherfuckers be doing and why, you should watch a fight like that. And yeah, he could do that to Gervonta. They think that because Rolly, and you can watch that fight back. Rolly made the mistake of throwing literally the same combination 2 times while he was coming forward, chin in the air. You didn't get counted, bro. Leo, he got backed into the ropes, threw the right hand 3 times. Like, boy, you insane, bro. You didn't get counted. That's what happened. These guys, Shakur and Devin, won't beat them.
They're too smart for that.
Not even Teo, bro. Not even Teo.
Imagine what Devin would do to Ryan Garcia, man.
I don't know, because on one end I say that Ryan, and really I don't have a high opinion of Ryan, but the interesting fights for Gervonta, where even I want to see them, right? Like Teofimo Lopez, that's boxer puncher versus boxer puncher. Ryan, boxer puncher versus, that's what they are. That's what Ryan is. You know what I mean? He got a little jab. He looks to set up the left hook, but he's a boxer puncher. He's not a pressure guy that comes forward leading with his face, but he's not so economic that he's a pure boxer. He's a boxer puncher. They got different tendencies. Ryan loves his speed. And Gervonta, it's like you don't want to. It's like you throwing punches on the carpet. You're like, throw some punches, bro. Throw some more punches, bro. Because Rolly had you looking crazy. You moving around just because he jabbing a little bit. Well, fuck him with jab.
Rolly was really up on the scorecard, bro. That's crazy.
That's nuts.
I can't even believe I can say that.
But he was. He was. At least by a round. Not all 6, but at least by a round.
It doesn't. It shouldn't. He shouldn't have won a round.
The opposite way, believe it or not. I don't think they're accurate though.
I was surprised he was moving back that much. Like, bro, if you're gonna talk that shit in the press conference, you better be going forward and trying.
That's what the jab did to him, bro. That's what the jab. That's what Rolly. And bear in mind, Rolly's not some. Rolly ain't fucking Larry Holmes, bro. You know that he has that kind of jab. But that's what Rolly's like. Just because he's jabbing, you gotta lay off. So who has a better jab than Rolly?
Devin.
And that makes me laugh because Tank's minions really had the nerve to say he beats Pro Gray at 42.
Holy
I love it. I would love nothing more than Pro Gray versus Davis at 140.
Murders this guy.
Oh, that would be a fight.
It's not even competitive. I don't give a fuck.
I don't think you guys get it. Jules, I think you might have said it before. Leonard Ellaby is so good that, and I hear this a lot with Tank Davis's fans. Did you see what he did to Rolly? Did you see what he did to Mario Barrios? Just imagine what he'll do to Prograis. Imagine what he'll do to Teofimo. Imagine what he'll do to Lomachenko. So it's the art of winning the fight without even having to fight these guys.
It's Lao Tzu, bro. It's Lao Tzu. The art of it's literally Lao Tzu. It's in the art of war. The art of winning the fight before the fight starts. Javante's already undisputed, bro. Already.
Let me say this.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Let me say this. Javante a few years ago said, "Why would I fight Loma now? I'm gonna wait until he's older." Like, imagine if somebody else would say that. How are these fighters allowed to get away with shit like this?
Well, let me say this, Mike. There's a component that I don't often address on this channel, and I'm not going to address it now, but that's the reason he gets away with it. It's a mentality to where somehow it's okay for him to say that because he's supposed to be a victim of something. I don't know what, because the WBA basically put that title in his hands. They screwed Alberto Machado to put that WBA. Like, what is he a victim of, fam? I don't know what. Because, like, I think everybody on this panel, or almost everyone, grew up in a poor neighborhood. So fucking what? So? Oh, because you grew up in a ghetto. So? There's ghettos all over the world. Worse ones than the ones we got in the United States. I know you don't believe that. I know you think, because they sell a little bit of crack and a little bit of fentanyl in your block, that you think you come from the worst place on earth, but you don't. You don't. There's worse places on earth than that. Oh, yeah. Imagine thinking you live in the worst place on earth just because they sell drugs on your block. Bro, they got acres of land with cocaine growing.
Jules, imagine if you lived 1,000 years ago in their ghettos where they would fucking impale you just for looking the wrong way.
I was there 1,000 years ago, all right? You couldn't look at somebody's bitch without ending up on a pike 1,000 years ago. Now, you got entire acres of land with marijuana plant growing. You have entire acres of land with cocaine leaf growing. What do you think happens if you wander into those fields of green? What do you think happens? Because somebody owns the fucking land, and you think because they sell a little bit of fentanyl on your block, a little bit of Percocet, a little bit of money, you think you come from the worst place on earth. That's crazy. That's what I love Americans, man. I'm telling y'all, you gotta love Americans. They really think this is the 80s, man. There are worse places on this planet to grow up. Worse. For like stuff you can't imagine. You know what I mean? But you know, that's the States, man. That's American entitlement. That's a Western mentality. In Russia, where I am from. You know what I mean?
Hey Jules, I'm just gonna get ready to leave, but I have to pose a question to you in the panel.
Yo.
Is there anything that you guys can
say? Fuck is everybody so quiet?
Jules, can you hear me? Jules.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, is there anything any reason why you would think that Leonard Ellaby would unblock me and start following me now?
Yes, I think he's trying to set you up.
He's trying to set you up, bro.
I'm not even joking, by the way.
Yeah,
not-
he's up
it's
to
not-
something, man.
No, real talk
I'm,
though,
I'm
coach.
serious. I think that Leonard pays attention. I know that he does because he's pointed it out in interviews that I've seen him do. He
Right.
knows who his critics are. Like, he knows who they are. And I honestly believe if he decided to do that, it could be because he's going to look for your face in the crowd. Better be careful, coach.
Do you know what he's gonna do?
Goons
No,
wearing
coach,
matching
and
blazers.
who's been the coach? You did a whole show on why that fight needs to happen with Eddie Hearn and the pay-per-view numbers. You're right, but
Dude.
and he's coming. It's fishy, coach. It's fishy.
Do you know what he's gonna do?
Coach, let me tell you something. If you go to a Gervonta Davis fight, they're gonna take you in the back. They're gonna do your eyebrows. They're gonna put you.
You know what he's gonna do? I'm gonna tell you what he's gonna do. He's gonna make an example out of you of what he's gonna do to Eddie Hearn, bro. He's gonna show him.
Coach,
Bro, it's gonna be like Pulp
Coach,
Fiction.
Coach, when you go to those PBC shows and you see Leonard, just make sure you got a Rap-A-Lot record shirt on. He'll leave you alone.
Listen, listen, Coach. I'd start working on my jab if I were you. I'd start now.
Hey, did he unblock you?
Bro, no. Shit, I feel left out. Like, shit, unblock me. I don't know. Shit. I need to see them tweets, dog.
What did you do to get blocked?
Bruh,
I don't
I
even
don't
know what
know.
I
He just
said.
blocked me. Well, he blocked Jules first. I think he blocked Jules.
I think I
blocked
said
Ron
something.
Woodward.
I must have said something. I know I said something. Because otherwise, how would it have happened?
He just blocked a whole bunch of people, and then now he's following me.
I've been blocked for like 4 or 5 years when I sent him the interview of Bob Arum on ESPN talking about the Mayweather story in the gym, and then he blocked me after that.
Listen, Coach. I'd start working on my jab if I were you.
Hey, listen,
Yeah,
we
you
need to
better,
make,
man.
hey, Jules, we got to make that fight. Me, Tank Davis. We're gonna sell it. And listen, bro, I'm telling you, it's gonna.
I'm gonna make the poster as
Make
soon
the
as
poster, man.
as soon as I end this live. I'm
Make the
literally
poster,
gonna
man.
go make the poster. Literally.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something else. There's another podcast. I'm not gonna say their name, but it's a podcast that Calvin Ford be on.
Mm-hmm.
Tank Davis's pod. Tank Davis.
I know. I know.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say their name. They're following me now.
You think I'm joking?
They came in the chat and they started like talking to me on the show. I said,
Listen.
what the hell is going on, man? Like,
Yo, look,
Yeah,
look. Everybody shut up. Not playing. Don't go to them fights. I'm telling you. Don't go to them fights. And if you go, you go in heavy.
Okay, Uncle
Don't get
Junior.
ambushed.
Uncle Junior Soprano.
You go
Hey,
heavy.
what did Tony say, Jules? You
I don't
mean
know.
that. He said you don't mean that.
Échamelos a mí, coach. Échamelos. ¿Cuántos son? ¿Cuántos son?
No lo estoy diciendo, no vayas a pelear. Yo,
¿Cuántos
no, but look, I'm not even dicking around. I am being serious though. I'm not dicking around. Like, I am being serious. If you see that kind of an effort, right? They view you as a member of the media. They want to be able to find your face in the crowd because they're assuming that you will be there.
right.
That literally, like, no bullshit. You're
that's
being
hilarious.
tracked. Lead them to me, coach. Lead them to me. No, I'm just playing. Don't lead them to me. Leave me
Coach.
alone.
All you gotta do is show up with some of your former Nation of Islam brothers. They'll fall back real quick.
Look, do the next pod with a kufi and a dashiki.
No, do it, coach. Do it with a bow tie, coach, and some bean pie on the side.
Hey, you see, my brother. Listen, I was not attacking you, my brother. I was going undercover to trick the casuals and the men to make them think that I was against you, when all the while I was going deep undercover to bring back the information to you, my brother. The information.
You know how much?
No, but
look,
I'm just being honest. Like, you want you want to know my opinion, and you're here, so I'll assume that you do. Why would they all of a sudden unblock you, start following you. Why?
Yeah,
Watching your show.
Why?
Retweet the show. I don't get it.
And
I'm
after how long
I'm
you
telling
been,
you, wow,
I'm
bro,
gonna
they
ask you. I'm gonna
after
ask
you.
and how long, Coach, have you been asking haters to call in, and now they all of a sudden, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of these days, you're gonna get a phone call from Leonard Ellaby.
It's the look that's on Joel's face.
One of these days, you're gonna get a call on your show, and it's gonna say unknown.
Bro, no bullshit, no bullshit. Like being real with you, if I had to guess what they're doing, they do want to find you though. I mean, they're not like you know, not like CIA guys are gonna come down on ropes with you know, like not like that. But if you're ever at a fight, they want to know if you're at a fight. You know, and not coach. Why would they want to know that?
I mean, I'm not gonna be by myself, so I mean,
Okay, let me say this. We have having this guy in the not in the live show, in the chat. This guy, Mr. PVC.
Mm-hmm.
PVC is a promotional company. It's an industry. It's an enterprise.
Mm.
Can you imagine the craziness of one guy naming himself after a company it doesn't have any part? It doesn't. Imagine me.
How deranged? How deranged?
Right.
Calling me Mr. McDonald.
Listen, he's so crazy. He gives me his money, right? Like just so that he could hear me say the words that he types out. He sends me his money. Like he's a lunatic. Yeah,
there's actually a term for that. It's called financial domination. The short term is FinDom. So he gets off on that. Like, he likes paying you money to like torture.
I told you he had a kink, Jules. I fucking knew it.
Man.
I mean, like what you got. Look, what you got with those guys, right? It kind of reminds me of New York in 1996. If you were in New York in 1996 and the Treetop and Sky High Paru people came over, and all of a sudden there's Crips all over the place and Bloods all over the place, right? It's those guys that you see that they in love with the PBC. They remind me of those guys that got down with all of that bullshit in 96. Now, some of us only cared about money, so we were doing things to get money, whereas other people wanted to feel a part of something. And literally, like, no comedic value. That's what it is. They want to feel a part of something, because New York was never about gangs. It was about money making Manhattan. That's what it was about. It was never all this bullshit.
Jules, it's the guys that couldn't make money that follow that shit.
Well, really, it was
same thing in California with the Bay Area and LA. Bay Area is still on the don't do no gangbanging. It's like, I'm gonna pimp a bitch or I'm gonna get some money. Either way, I'm trying to make $1 today.
Yeah, like if it and literally, like, no cap, no bullshit. Just that's the way it was. That in 1996, if you was in New York City when people started getting cut, and you know, just all the different things that were happening around 1996, you had very young guys that thought that shit was the coolest shit in the world. You know, they want to wear the sneakers got to match the t-shirt with the bandana. You know, everything got to match, looking like a crayon. Y'all over here fighting over handkerchiefs, goofy shit. But the bullet don't care. You know, the bullet don't care whether you're a blood or a crip or whatever the fuck you are. But that's the way that it was. They're like, yo, you had people that they just wanted to be a part of something. That's what they just wanted to be a part of something. And that's what I see with these individuals, that they get kind of crazy online over a promotional outfit that is not putting not a single red cent in your pocket, but they really act like you parted, like they parted at. It's like, yo, it's the same underlying thing that, like, you just want to be a part of something. So when you see that people go so far over the shit, well, that's what it is. You know, you want to feel a part of something. It's funny because, well, this is not actual gang violence. This is some dickhead on his phone in his house, probably his mother's house. Let's be honest. Come on, you don't fucking own. You know, let's stop. Right? It's bullshit. That's why when you see those threats, just laugh, bro. Just laugh. You're not gonna do anything. You're not gonna do anything. If you do something, it probably won't work out very well for you. Either way. You know, because
it's actually some very insightful sociological analysis, because that's what basically every like accredited sociologist says, like class alienation and just male alienation in general is what drives people to groups and things like that.
It is. Whereas people like me that are secure, I named myself when I was born. No one named me. And I already had chest hair and pubic hair. And, you know, I'm not actually a alpha. I'm a sigma. And a sigma is not necessarily an alpha, though he can rival the alpha. The sigma is the lone wolf, right? I don't need a group. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to do it better than the guys that are in the group. And when I see those guys and they do what they do, I just laugh like, bro, look, the worst thing that could happen is you actually being, you know, actually meaning what you're saying. Because if you traveled a great distance to come see me, that would be a credible threat. So you would have to act credibly, you know. But like I said, they don't mean none of that stuff.
They don't. And then to
They
echo what Jules
don't,
saying,
like-
to echo what Jules is saying, I love that he says Sigma. I identify like that too. Alphas know when they see Sigmas because they don't put that bullshit up anymore when a Sigma's around. That's
honestly,
why I be at the fight solo, like pull up, what's up? You see me all the fights. I be all at the fights by myself.
the
None
like
of
I
these tough
said-
guys on Twitter say nothing.
I say alpha all the time, right? And because that's what the dumb dullards, that's all they know. The alpha and the beta, that's all they know. But there's actually the sigma. And the sigma can be a lot more dangerous than the alpha because the alphas and their little groups are not privy to the information of the sigma because the sigma works alone. You know, it's a lot of fun stuff. And in a nutshell, right? You know, I would say if you're going to go to one of those fights, and you know, you just expect something to happen. Just be ready, you know, preparedness and all that shit. But I wouldn't read too much into it because Leonard's a guy who got stuffed in a fucking broom closet. Like, what, bro? Come on. Like, be real. And you're only going after Eddie because you view him as a rich kid. You don't talk to these other people like that. You're only going after him because you view him as a rich kid, which says more about you than him. It says more about what kind of person you are than what kind of person he is. Because Broner was sitting right next to you talking wow. I don't care if he's a boxer. He was sitting right next to you talking wow. Crazy for no reason. So you not that guy. You know what I mean? You're not that kind of person. All right, there's enough out there. And really, look, anybody who does their beard like that, come on. Please, like, come on.
Hey, you know, y'all go ahead, Jules. Sorry about that.
No. Yeah, Will says, imagine Al Heyman trying to get on the show. I'd love it. Do you know how much money I'd make from that show? I'd love it.
We gotta get Leonard on the show.
The funny thing, Coach, when you was talking to double agent stuff, you know how much money you'd make on YouTube if you switched your whole flow up and started fucking making shows like that. You'd make it better than the LDBC. It'd be hilarious, though.
What you talking about on the LDBC? Talking about their talking points?
Yeah, and if you just put your little orating spin on it, because you're very well spoken, Coach, fellow Capricorn, and your marketing background, it'd be hilarious to see how much money you'd make.
You should start the Evil Coach Malachi show, right? You get another.
Oh yeah,
YouTube
go heel.
channel.
Like
you say the exact opposite on the other channel. Bear in mind, you're still showing your face, but you say the exact opposite on the other channel. Like, well, this is why everything that Leonard is doing is right. You know what I mean? And you'll create something that's never been done. I thought about doing it, but I'm like, nah, fuck that. If you make the argument for both sides, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You cater to both demographics, you make money off both demographics.
Listen, I don't, again, as I said before, Jules, I don't agree with it, but it took me all of this time to get what they were saying. Floyd and Leonard they didn't say anything different. Look, we're trying to, you know, an event, you know, we're trying to make Tank into an attraction. And I just kept thinking about attraction. Let me just look this word up to make sure I have a better understanding of what it is. And I came up with Disney World, Sea World, Busch Gardens, just the circus. I say, damn. And then I realized, I say, bro, that fan base is very, very low IQ. They fall for anything.
Yeah. Look, boxing. boxing is not like other sports in the sense that there's a lot. They think that like a lot of people don't really, and you know this, we all know this. It takes time to start appreciating boxing. It takes time to appreciate a guy who could jab and feint without being the according to Hoyle, throwing college frat boy punch. It takes time to appreciate those things. So you already have a large group of people that don't really understand what they're looking at. That's one. It's just like George Foreman said. Good boxing is like good jazz. It's seldom appreciated. It's true. Like Devin Haney's a great boxer, not the biggest puncher, but do they appreciate his boxing? No, not really.
I mean, they want him to be something that he isn't. That's
you know what I mean? And so when you have that many individuals that don't, they're really not critical thinkers. Like they're not. They don't focus on what is being said. They focus on who's saying it. You could take the shirt off their back and sell it back to them, and they'll go with it. They'll go with it. Like you should have to pay $80 to see Rolly Romero. He's the main event with David. Really? And you're okay with this?
Bro, I'm like, Jules, I'm like, bro, I was dumbfounded. I say, how did he pull this off? Rolly Romero. Like, I felt like showing up on The Last Dragon, catching bullets with his teeth, you're fighting Rolly Romero. Bro, like, what? And
Coach,
they was excited about it.
One word, casual. Casual.
Now, look, I understand it. That's why I equate Gervonta Davis's career to being something semblant of Butterbean, that you're an attraction. You're like the Harlem Globetrotters of boxing. It's not a real game. You're not really playing for the champion. You're not really going to the finals. It's a game. It's a dance. And that's what Gervonta is. Like, you like the Harlem Globetrotters of boxing. While Devin out here doing real grown man shit, making real hard decisions for legacy and glory, and the money will come. Because every cash cow that ever was a cash cow was a legacy fighter. Even Floyd. For all the shit he says now, look at the people that he fought. Those were the guys to fight. Cotto was one of the, you want to fight Cotto. Yeah, you want to fight Shane Mosley. Shane just beat the living hell out of Margarito. Yeah, it's a great fight. Cotto, yeah, he avenged the loss to Margarito. It's a great fight. Yeah, Manny Pacquiao took long, whatever. But he actually fought the people, and it never gets said because, people like to lie. Floyd fought the people that needed to be fought. His career wasn't like Gervonta's. Who did? There's only two guys that Floyd didn't fight. Margarito and Paul Williams. Oh, and Khan. But I mean, I'm like, if you really think Khan would have did something to Floyd, I don't even want to argue with you, dog. Like, because it's stupid. Bradis Prescott folded this man up. All right. Danny Garcia caught him with a counter hook and Colt dropped him, right? And because Floyd's not faster than Danny, right? Because Danny is better defensively than Floyd. Or Amir Khan would have fought Floyd. Floyd wouldn't know what to do, but Danny would. These morons. This is why I don't want to have that. This is why when I hear that, I'm like, see, Margarito, I understand. Margarito had two of the main things that I feel would give Floyd problems. Size and volume. Maybe he was a cheater. If you tell me you think Margarito was a cheater, I'm going to agree with you. But the two things you needed for a pure boxer like Floyd in the welterweight division, one, you're going to need physically imposing size, or a junior middleweight. You're going to need physically imposing size and volume, because if you don't have that, he's going to play with you. You need to be able to just power through that. There were only a couple of guys that had that, and Margarito was one of them.
And a chin.
And a chin. You need to be able to take punches. Don't let the speed bother you. Don't let the counters bother you, because he's got that, and you can't beat him in that arena. He's got speed, he's got counters, and he can hit you with punches you don't see coming faster than you can get out of the way of them. But if you're a big guy, you can take the shots. Like how Margarito was taking Cotto shots coming forward, like that little bullshit, little motherfucker, you little Puerto Rican motherfucker, fuck that. That's the kind of shit, all right? But ultimately, am I going to judge Floyd's career based on a guy that got ragdolled by Mosley? That Manny Pacquiao beat the fuck out of you. Cotto avenged the loss. And these three guys lost to who? That's my wife screaming in the background.
Mayweather.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mayweather. Damn, you're right. I never thought of it like that. He beat all three.
It doesn't make sense to bring up Margarito when 3 guys that Floyd beat Margarito.
Beat him
Right.
convincingly, dominantly.
You know, people like to say, "Oh, Mosley was this, Mosley was that," and I'm like, "Did you see the Margarito fight with Shane? He beat the fuck out of Margarito, and who he fought after that? Who he fought?
Mayweather. Coming off that big win.
That's why, like, I'm not a flow, the flow-mo shit where I think Floyd can walk on water, but I'm like, no, he fought who needed to be fought. Was Margarito really that? No, he wasn't. He lost to 3 guys that Floyd beat.
That was Margarito's fault because he had just lost that fight too. If he would have beat Mosley, then there would have been a more case for that fight. But he lost.
And then you think about the argument they like to make about Thurman. Understand, the belt that Floyd won from Chino was the WBA title. All right. Before Keith was in line for Floyd, he was actually in line for Chino because Chino's WBA champion after he beat Broner. He took the belt from him and he was WBA champion, right? So he has the fight with Floyd and everybody said that the fight was close. Everybody said that. So imagine that Floyd doesn't fight Chino for a second time. He fights some guy with a high hairline named Keith that nobody is talking about. What would people have said? You ducking Chino.
Yep.
You ducking that Chino rematch.
Yep.
He didn't want that smoke.
So I'm like, it's not about apologizing for everything that Floyd did. I'm very big on logic. And it is illogical that's illogical. That's just, you don't have to like him as a person, but what you're saying is illogical. It is. Just like the way Tim Bradley gets, it's illogical. It doesn't make sense. How are you so high on Danny for Lamont? Bro, he gave Lamont his first loss. He gave Devon Alexander his first loss. Fought Ruslan Provodnik. He only lost to one guy, Manny Pacquiao.
Which he did beat. Controversially.
He literally only lost to one guy.
And he did beat him in the first fight. Controversially, but he's got that win.
And if I say, listen, Tim Bradley's win over Juan Manuel Marquez after Marquez flatlined Manny, that's better than Keith resume, Danny resume, Porter resume. What are we like? It's better than Errol resume.
Tell him.
Are you crazy?
Tim Bradley is a Hall of Famer and Keith is not.
After Juan damn near killed Manny Pacquiao. Who beat him after that? Tim.
Do you think that's his best win?
Motherfucking Bradley.
His record? The Juan Manuel Marquez?
And they had the nerve to say Tim should cross to fight those guys. No, he didn't have to do nothing.
And what I want y'all to do,
remember that Juice before
I
Crawford?
remember, bro. I remember. This is why I'm about to say this. Go back and look at the buys. Look at the buys from back then of Tim Bradley's fights. And he has to come to you. You schmucks haven't even been on pay-per-view yet. Which one of y'all was on pay-per-view in 2015 and 2016 when this conversation kicked off? Who? Not Keith? Not Errol? You didn't even have a fan base yet.
That Marcus fight did like 350, right? It did pretty good. That Marcus fight. That fight did pretty good.
Now, Pete gained that 300 and change back then, right? But these motherfuckers is oohing and eyeing at Tank sell 225 and 250.
I love that super chat. I love it.
Machiavellian Malachi. Yo, look, I think they got the coach. He's not in the chat.
Yeah,
they got him.
They got him locked up in the basement.
They got him. I think they're gonna do his eyebrows. Where's coach?
They're gonna put him in a plaid blazer.
Julius, I want
Yeah,
to
Leo.
Ellerby might be rubbing his chest, man.
Tickle fight.
Like, wait.
I want to say something about something I read some time ago about weak divisions. They were trashing Indongo because he lost to Crawford and then he lost to Progress. Look, Indongo fighting Crawford and then Progress is like Kid Thurman fighting Crawford and then you fight Toots Ennis.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like these guys some people like to call these divisions strong divisions because they have a lot of guys that don't fight the fights that they are dangerous. We can see it with Kid Thurman, with Danny Garcia.
Yep.
Now, there are open comers that want a shot to shine, and they don't want to hear any of that.
Well, let's say this. What they classify as a quote unquote strong division, what the strength they're actually talking about is marquee value, not boxing, because the strongest divisions in boxing are not the glamour weights, like 140. That's not a glamour weight. Superfly is not a glamour weight. You know what I mean? Light heavyweight is not a glamour weight. But those are the divisions where there's a lot of mixing and matching you could do, and you'd get a good fight every single time. For example, why is light heavyweight a strong division? Callum Smith versus Anthony Yard, good fight. Callum Smith versus Joshua Buatsi, good fight. Callum Smith versus Dimitri Bivol, good fight. Callum Smith versus Zerto Ramirez, good fight. Now let's do the same with Zerto. Zerto versus Bivol, good fight. Zerto versus Better Beef, good fight. Zerto versus Buatsi, good fight. Zerto, that's how you know a division is deep. When you can do that, when it doesn't matter which guy I pick, there's like 3-4 fucking fights out there for him. Doesn't matter which guy I pick. Welterweight is not like that. At this point, Spence already fought Porter, already fought Brook, already fucking fought Ugas. There's only one fight for you now. For Crawford, it ain't about fighting a Thurman no more. And none of them guys. It's one fight for you here. Spence. That's not a deep division. They called it deep just because it's a lot of familiar motherfuckers, but it ain't deep. Like, nah, it ain't deep. It's other divisions that are way deep. 140 is way deeper. Way deeper. You got 3-4 fucking southpaws in that same weight class. Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis, motherfucking Sandor Martin, motherfucking Jose Zapata. And that's just 4 guys. What about Gary Antoine Russell? What about Subriel Matias? What about Jose Ramirez? Teofimo up there now. He about to be up there. That's a deep division if you want to talk about depth.
Yeah, people like talk about Danny Garcia as being a top 147 pounder, which is pretty fucking insanity,
Bruh. I can't even begin with that for like how is he? Who did he beat that he elite? Who?
The Ghost, bro. He beat the Ghost. You can't see him.
Word. But yeah, yo, it's just a lot of shit, man. It's a lot of shit. But 147 hasn't. It's getting deeper now, but not because of Spence and Crawford. It's getting deeper now because of Butaev, because of Stanionis, because of Boots, because of Rashidi Ellis, because of Conor Ben. Now it's starting to have a little bit more depth. The problem is they're not going to fight, so who fucking cares?
Yeah. Can I ask a question? Jules.
Good.
How pure is that blow you think Oscar has?
Bro, I mean, if I had to guess,
I don't think it's stepped on at all.
I mean,
I don't think so either.
I mean, Oscar likes to party, bro. You know, and I don't hold that against him, but I do think he's going kind of crazy. He's accusing Charlo of ducking Munguia.
He's like purely like he's. The thing about Oscar that's smart, he didn't use his money to set up Golden Boy. He got early investors. He's smart. He's wealthy. He ain't got to worry about money. But they're not even having the old club shows like they used to have out here, Jules, back from like 2010 to like 2017, 18, before the pandemic at
what's happening in the Golden Boy? Yeah. What's happening in the Golden Boy is the game is too competitive for them right now, and they don't want to gamble. You know, and they kind of have to. It goes back to what I said at the top of the show, that they can get Munguia fights, they can get Ortiz fights, they can get Zerto fights, and they can even get you close enough to fighting for a title. But when it comes time to fight for a title, they can't actually do the show or get the revenue from it. Think about it. Zerto is in line for the WBA, but who's Bivol with? Matchroom. So are you going to send him to Matchroom to do the show, or are you going to pay Bivol multi-millions? Because it's either or. Either you let them do the show or you got to come out of pocket. They don't want to do either, which is why I keep wondering, does Zerto really want this fight? Or is this fight really going to happen? because it's hard to imagine that he gets that title shot and Matchroom doesn't do the show. What, Matchroom's going to send Bivol the Golden Boy? I don't know about that. Then you think about Virgil. Well, okay, Virgil's great. I love him. I think he's world class already. But when are you going to fight for a title, bro? You're at 147. We know where all the titles are. And going upstairs is not a solution because it's the same upstairs. All the titles are in the same place. So if you want to see him become a world champion, you're going to have to gamble. You got to send him out. You're going to have to.
Julius, but can we agree some gambles makes more sense than others?
Of course. Munguia versus Charlo made sense.
No, but hear me out. For me, the Gervonta Davis versus Devin Haney is something like this. Imagine me going to Las Vegas and going to the casino, and they told me, look, we have this game. You put on front $5,000, but you have the chance to win $5 million. That's a really good bet.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I wouldn't take that bet is because I don't have the money to spare. If Gervonta Davis, for some chance, fights Devin Haney next, by some chance, he fights him and wins, imagine Gervonta Davis has been doing nothing in terms of legacy. If he finally does something like that,
it'll blow.
Undisputed, they will never shut up about Gervonta Davis ever,
and that'll silence the critics.
Yeah, and Gervonta Davis will be the A side from here to 5 years from now to every fight, and people will go to the PBC for that Gervonta Davis fight. That will make sense if Gervonta wins that fight, but they are not gonna make that fight because I agree with you. They don't have the money.
Yeah, it's the money. At the end of the day, it's two things really. It's two things. Why risk when we don't have to? This is what I don't often get to say about Gervonta Davis. He is making the money. Like, let's get that right out the way. Those pay-per-views are not flops because the operational costs are low. It doesn't cost anything to pay a Rolly Romero. It doesn't cost anything to pay an Isaac Cruz. What the fuck are the operational costs for an Isaac Cruz fight, bro? So they're making money, yes. Not a fuck ton of money. They're not making Canelo money, but they're happy with what they're making. Risk-free. We got control of the board. We don't have to risk anything. We make all the decisions, right? Why risk anything? That's what they're telling themselves. Two, you don't have the money for these guys, man. You think fucking Devin Haney, undisputed champion, you think he's gonna fight for a couple $100,000 or $1 million? No, he just fought for 2.8. You talk about $1 million, that's Jorge Linares money. That's Jojo Diaz money. If I'm gonna be on pay-per-view with Gervonta Davis, bro, I just made 2.8. You need to give me 3 and 4. Otherwise, you don't get a chance at these belts. You don't get a crack at them, and guess what? They don't want those belts anyway. Madonna came to my fade.
Madonna went to Willie Pep's fight. Who gives a fuck?
Willie Pep's fight. And I think 3 and 4 is fair. That fight is big enough to do like 300 to 400 pay-per-views, so they can make that money back. I don't think that fight would be a loss if they have to pay Devin $4 million.
It probably wouldn't be a loss, but you know what could be a loss if he loses the fucking fight.
Yeah.
And that's why it's not the real reason, if they liked his chances, they would be more receptive, because that's the other part that really doesn't get said. It's not just the money. They don't like his chances against some of these guys, man. Devin is a boxer. How many boxers has Gervonta Davis faced? Stick and move, outside jabbers, pure boxers. How many? They know that's his Achilles heel. They know.
They didn't make the fights against the guys he did have a chance. They're not going to make the fights against who he doesn't have a chance.
Simple. Like, he had a chance against Tevin Farmer. They didn't want to make that fight. You think they're going to put him in there with a pure boxer? No, they're not. No, they're not.
Tio, he had a chance with Tio.
He has a chance. That's the wild part that I don't often get to say this. He has a chance with Tio. Yeah, he has a chance. They're both boxer punchers. It's going to come down to who's the better boxer puncher. Who implements this base style better? You have a chance. 50-50 fight, maybe 60-40 because Tio's kind of crazy right now. I don't know what the fuck going on with him, right? But you have a chance. But why risk it when we could put you in there with a Rolly Romero, come up in the plus, do a decent gate, not a great gate, a decent gate, because this is the Barclays Center we're talking about, all right? Ain't like, and you know, like, the fuck? It's a Barclays, fam. It's in fucking Brooklyn, bro. Like, the fuck?
Yeah, because Jules, like, I was talking to my pops about this, right? And he was saying he's a wise dude because he knows his boxing as well. I mean, it's a story he was saying, like, he's like, son, like, they're not gonna put Tank in with nobody. They're not, because like, why mess up a good thing? They got a good thing going on. They're putting him in movie foregone conclusion fights. He's making decent money, so why ruin a good thing?
Exactly.
Why mess it up?
Exactly. The
Yeah,
only
why
one
put him
I
in
would put
MSG if you
Tank
can
in
put
there
him in the
with,
Barclays?
the only one I'd put him in there with is Tio, because Tio seems so fragile right now that I don't even think. I'd favor Tank in that fight now.
Maybe, yeah. I got to see what Tio. I have to see, because sometimes instability. You know, one of the great guys that was a very unstable guy, Carlos Monzon. Another guy who was great that was unstable, Carlos Valero. Because Valero, he was unstable.
Manos de Piedra.
Unstable. So maybe Teofimo's dysfunctional life could make him a better fighter. I don't know. You know, if he takes out all his frustrations on Campa in August, you know, he's back in the shit. Like, look, what he showed with George, I believe his story. I believe he was sick because that's how he fought. He fought like a guy who wants to go home early. Why would you want to go home early? So you could go to the hospital because you can't breathe? It makes sense. All of it fits. He's a better boxer puncher than that. He sets up his knockouts. Watch his fights. He sets up his knockouts.
His
But in
timing
that
is
fight,
good, like everything, all that.
everything is good. But in that fight with George, you literally came out like a fucking lunatic, just throwing these stupid ass punches that can be countered. That's how he came out. And that is a sharp deviation from how you normally fight.
Honestly, you asked me, like, I think if we got the version of him that fought Loma, he'd have won that fight.
Bro, we got the version of him that fucking fought Nakatani, he would have fucking won the fight.
But you're forgetting Joey Gamache is not there. And we can say what we want. I know Jules loves Joey Gamache, and it's evident when there's a guy that actually knows boxing in Tio's corner. I refuse to believe he would have came out like he did against George if Joey was there.
I mean, I agree, but I feel like the underlying principle behind coming out that way with George was he didn't feel well. He figures, I hit really fucking hard. I can knock this guy out. I just have to hit him once. And he came out like a bat out of hell trying to go home early. And, you know, he threw punches. Go back, watch the fight. You're throwing punches that can be countered. He doesn't normally do that. Like, he is normally better than that. He is. Like, he's not a bad fighter at all. But, like, what was me and you talking about the whole time, Drew? That you stayed at this weight the whole time? You stayed at this weight too long. You shouldn't even be here. Why are you defending your title against George if it's your plan to move up after that? Then why not just skip that and move up?
You stood up there for a couple extra million when you could have been on your third fight that year and at 140 and ready to fight Josh this year.
He would have been at 140 if he would have said, I beat Loma and he's not getting a rematch. And bear in mind, I don't know how serious he was about fighting Devin. You know, I know that there was...
Jules?
Go ahead.
You think he would have made Loma come to 140? He would have like, yo, bro, I beat you. You want this rematch? Come to 140.
I think his dad and them would have talked shit, but they wouldn't have been serious. I firmly believe, because along with everything else I believe, they know they would have lost the rematch.
Not even at 140?
Here's the thing. If you beat a guy, right, you said you were going to beat him, and you did beat him. Why wouldn't you beat him again for more money? There was more money for the rematch. There was more money.
There was more money in the rematch than the purse bid for Cambosis.
Yes, there was more money. So why would you not fight him again if you knew you beat him and you knew you could be? It doesn't make sense. I beat you, bro. It's like Tarver and Roy. Go back in your time machine. When Tarver had the first fight with Roy, people tend to forget that Roy won a dubious decision. It's the second fight where he got knocked out in the third, not the first. Tarver from that first fight knew, I can get him. even though he lost. I can get him. Now you won. So why are you not confident? There's more money in the second fight. I know why you're not confident. You know the injury was real. This guy doesn't come out the first 5 rounds and don't throw punches. It was 2 things at play in that fight. Yes, Teofimo is a great counterpuncher, and he hits hard enough that he can hurt Loma and take him out. That is 1. But 2, his shoulder's fucked up. That's not a new injury. In 2018, they said he had something wrong with his labrum in his shoulder. It was a nagging injury that he already had. But when he finally decided to throw, he couldn't miss you. Literally, he couldn't miss you the last half of the fight. Whatever he throw, he slammed all of it. All of it. All right? You know in the second fight, he probably wins. So you don't want to do the rematch, even though you're confident that you win. No, you're not confident you win. Otherwise, you would have did it. It's for more money. But you want to stay at lightweight because fighting George is so important. Fighting George. Not fighting Loma again, even though you'll get more money for it. Fighting George is more important. And it was your plan to move up after that because that came out after the fact that y'all was going to move up after that. All right, then why the fuck did you do this? The money. You wanted money, not risks.
You listen to the wrong people.
It's simple. If you confident that you could beat that dude again, why you not? Why like Tarver lost a decision to Roy, but he knew here I could beat him, I could get him, and he went into the rematch with that mentality. Where he said, "Got any excuses tonight, Roy?" Before at the beginning of the fight when they came to the center of the ring, any excuses tonight, Roy? He knew, like I'm gonna get you. Now, if you believe in yourself and you're confident, I could do that same shit or better. In the second fight, I could do that same shit or better. And for more money, sign me up. Because I already beat him. All I got to do is do it again. You wasn't confident that you could do it again. I could. You wanted to make off like a bandit. Like I beat him. I said, and look, for what it's worth, you did deliver. You did beat him. But I'm not talking about the first fight. I'm talking about why didn't you do a second one? How could fighting George again be more important than Loma in a rematch? It doesn't make sense. You would have got more money. You would have been the A side. You would have got maybe 3, 4. No fuss, no muss. Fight him again. You beat him before. What, you don't think you could beat him again? No, it's because I dig it, bro. I dig it. I know what it sounds like. I dig it. And that's the rest is history.
Yeah, Julius, don't you think the fact that Gervonta Davis versus Devin Haney is never going to happen in some sense is a blessing? Because for me, Gervonta Davis having a chance to becoming undisputed will be like giving Sauron the Ring of Power.
Yeah, but also this. It's not like it's my intention to see Gervonta fail. If he has it within his abilities to beat someone like Devin Haney, I would give him praise for it. I'm a fight fan. I want to see fights. I want to see if you're what they say you are. And fighting the people.
Yeah, but Julius, would you consider that division dead after Gervonta Davis wins the undisputed?
I would, but Leo, would he not be deserving of respect if he became the undisputed champion? Wouldn't he?
Yeah, but could you see some interesting fight for Gervonta Davis after that?
Are we getting interesting fights now?
You have a point.
I'd be more excited to see Devin join the 140 pounders. That would be an amazing division. Who cares about Gervonta?
That's the other thing too. Like I'm on my Shakur Stevenson shit, bro. I don't even give it. Like really, I don't get like I see your point, Leo. But the difference between your equation and mine is at least he will prove himself. That it's a shit division after that, Yeah. Like if he were to have that fight and yada yada yada, but at least we'd find out that look, is this guy the real thing or not?
Yeah. And to find out, we have to sacrifice an entire division.
I mean, is there? All right, let me put it another way, right? Devin just beat George, and that's great. How many fights are left out there realistically for Devin?
For Devin, Loma.
That's it. So it's still the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Devin fights Loma, right? For the in defense of his undisputed championship. What the fuck else is there left to do after that?
Nada.
Okay, but let's say he gets a fight with Loma, and Loma wins, that is for me the more likely scenario.
It depends on when the fight happens, but I do look. I just want to see people get beat up. If Loma wins, awesome. If Devin beats Loma, awesome. If Davis beats Devin, awesome. If Devin beats Gervonta, awesome. Awesome. I just want fights.
Yeah.
My whole thing is, I will be one of the first to give Gervonta credit if he does fight someone solid. I'm not against him fighting someone solid and earning his stripes. So if that someone is Devin and he were to beat him, why wouldn't I give him props? But I know you're not going to fight none of these people.
Yeah.
You're not.
At least if Loma wins, or let's say Devin pulls the upset. If any of those guys wins, I can see those guys fighting other guys in the division. With Gervonta Davis as the undisputed champion, I cannot see fighting any other guys in the division for at least 5 years.
Well, let's put it another way. If in a scenario where Gervonta Davis becomes that division's undisputed champion, because of what marquee value he does have and the added marquee value that he would amass with a fight like that, he would bottleneck all the talent to him. So what are we talking about? Davis versus Kambosos? Davis versus Diaz? Davis versus Fortuna? Those are all doable fights. And you can't, and they can't, it doesn't turn into a haggling situation because he has all the belts and he has the marquee value. So it's not the worst scenario in the world if in this hypothetical scenario Davis wins the fight and he becomes undisputed. No, that's not the worst thing in the world. Do I think it would happen that way? No. I see that there's a chance that he could catch Devin with something ugly. I see that. But I also see another scenario where it's not there, bro. It's not there. And people are going to be in awe looking at how limited he actually is.
Okay, but to your point, if Gervonta Davis becomes undisputed in the lightweight division, he will have a claim to say, okay, I am the A side, so everyone has to come to me and to my platform. If you're not, you are not getting any fight. I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not different. Like, for example, Devin won. There's probably 2 fights left for him at lightweight that are worth watching. Really only one. Because I don't count I don't count Gervonta Davis as a real option. I don't. Like, bro, that shit ain't going to happen. Right? And he goes up to 140. It's not different with Gervonta. It would be the same thing. He's going to stick around at 135 to fight who? Loma? Come on, like, nah. So it's like, look,
what about Shakur?
Huh?
What about Shakur Stevenson if he moves up?
They'll never put him in that fight. Never.
You think?
I'm talking about Gervonta, bro. Oh, Devin? No. All right, this is me. Feel free to disagree. That fight is so stylistically bad that I would never want to watch it. That fight would be as bad as Bartholomew versus Easter, just at a higher level. Pure boxer versus pure boxer.
Ouch.
Oh, that's excruciating. That's excruciating.
No, I don't want to see that.
Like
we finally found Julius's kryptonite.
Yep.
I'm not big on
Frankie Sanchez. I thought
that's pure boxer. Listen, he's a pure boxer. Stick and move, stay on the perimeter of the ring behind the jab. He's a pure That's why I don't want to watch him. I like the boxers that I like. I like my pressure fighters that are willing to take chances, and I like my boxer punchers that work off the counter and mix in the boxing with the punching. What I don't like is a guy who stays so far on the outside that it's hardly a fight.
Julius, I gave you Frankie Sanchez against Otto Wallin on pay-per-view. Do you buy it?
Bro, I might pay you not to put it on pay-per-view, bro. Like, I'll pay you not to watch it. Like, here, I don't want to watch that shit.
Hey, Jules, quick question. What do you hear about AJ and going to the zone or something like that?
I've been hearing about that, and I'm inside intel that I heard some shit today too. I can't even say what it is because I don't want to fuck up. But I did hear that before that it's looking like he's going to the zone. I don't know why he's doing that. I wouldn't do that, but I wouldn't have did. Being honest with you,
AJ.
Being honest with you, I wouldn't have did what Eddie did in the United Kingdom. I would have stayed with Sky in the UK, and I'm DAZN everywhere else. I wouldn't have did what he did. And in the videos I uploaded around that time, I said that like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You came this far with Sky. Stay with them in the UK, just in the UK, but you're DAZN everywhere else. It's the ideal situation. That's the biggest platform you can be on in the UK. Why would you, to start over with it? But that's what he did. And what I'm hearing, or at least what I was told, is that, it looks like AJ's going all in with DAZN. I wouldn't do that, but I wouldn't do that. Why? Sky's established. Sky is like Fox over there. You know that you walk into a barbershop and it's already on like a Fox or ABC. That's the kind of network it is over there. It's a big network. DAZN is still getting known. And yes, he has enough marquee value that his fans know where to find him, but it's still kind of like, why do that though? It is what it is. But I have heard that country. I have heard that he's going to DAZN.
It's kind of a weird move.
Kind of,
I was paying him a lot more.
Maybe. Or maybe it's because he has a lifetime Matchroom deal. Because most people keep forgetting that before the Usyk fight, he literally signed the deal that says he is a Matchroom fighter for the rest of his career. And Matchroom is exclusively contracted to who? To DAZN.
Do you think that was a good idea, having a lifetime?
I'm like, why the hell would you do that? Why don't you just choose free agency? Like,
I don't think no deal. I like the way I would have did it if I was AJ. The way I would have did it would be what Dillian is doing. Oh, I'm staying with Matchroom. I love Eddie. I love Matchroom, but I'm a free agent. We work on a fight-by-fight basis. That's how we work, on a fight-by-fight basis. If I'm big enough that I can get people to bid on me, including promoters, why wouldn't I use that to my advantage? But that's me. Look, for what it's worth, the man has already made a lot of money. So whatever he did it right. He can retire today. He's filthy fucking rich. He'll be okay. But if it were me, fight-by-fight basis. I don't need to be fucking joined at the hip to anyone or anything. Not a network, not a promoter. My shit goes to the highest bidder every time I fight. So I get optimal money every time I fight.
Julius, I have a question. How many years do we have Anthony Joshua as a professional boxer?
The number that came up was 4. Maybe less. Okay. And that's if he wins.
If he loses? If he loses?
2.
2 more years.
If he loses.
Do you see in any point that fight happen, the Wilder fight with AJ? No.
What I see is they took Kovnowski out of the running for Derek, right? They could only have done that for 2 reasons. 1, to face the winner of Ruiz versus Ortiz. 2, cannon fodder for Wilder later on this year, around Christmas time. Wilder is not going to be fighting for a title, I don't think. But Wilder can still sell pay-per-views, though.
He's too busy singing right now.
He needs guys that there's a very high probability that he knocks them out. It can't be remotely competitive in any sense of the word. So obviously you don't expect him to fight a Hergovic or a Joyce, where it could turn into a fucking fight, but maybe he wins, maybe he doesn't. No fights. He needs cannon fodder. Him and Kovnowski, on the strength of it being Wilder's comeback fight, they could do 500,000 with that, just because it's his comeback fight.
He's got a name now. Hey, IQ, which fight do you think was bigger, Wilder Joshua or Joshua Fury? Which fight do you think was bigger?
I believe at its peak, at its pinnacle, Wilder Joshua was bigger.
That's what I was about to say, man.
America versus UK, that would have been huge here because of how evil and tribal Americans are, and it's not dissimilar. But we are like for example, I use Amanda Serrano as an example. Let me say this: Amanda was always an excellent boxer. Her record, not so excellent. Just nah. Your record ain't excellent, but you're good. Why did people wait until a pretty little Irish girl comes around before they start rooting for her? Why didn't they root for her before that? She was around. She was knocking people out. Why did it take for Katie to come into it for you to start caring? Because she's a foreigner. Then it becomes tribal. Amanda been around since 2009. She been won belts. These people didn't care, but let a foreigner come around and start doing good and getting praise, and people sing their praise.
Everybody goes. Everybody jumps on that wagon.
Man.
That's the only reason they cared, because they saw somebody was being praised, like, oh, Katie Taylor, she's great, and the Americans get in their fucking feelings because it's not a fucking American. Well, man, it's Rigo and Loma, in a sense. It's kind of like Rigo and Loma. It's the same dynamic that you guys don't fuck with Rigo. When Rigo fought Moise Flores, where were you? When Rigo fought Jazza Dickens, where were you? Everything after the Donaire fight, where were you? Rigo fans. But let Lomachenko come up. Oh, you're a big fucking Rigo fan, right? You saw that Jazza Dickens fight, right? No, you didn't fucking watch that shit because you're not a fan of him. You're just using him to root against him.
That's what they did for Canelo and Triple G, bro. The first fight, they went for Canelo.
No, I'll say this: Triple G had fans. Let's be real. He did have, because he was the style that he had. People liked it and they enjoyed it and they bought into his bullshit. Like I bought into that bullshit. All the bells, big drama show. I bought that bullshit. I bought right into that bullshit until I realized it was bullshit. Then I'm like, bro, you don't want all the belts, because if you did, you would have beat the shit out of Saunders. Oscar don't got you by the balls. If anything, you got Oscar by the balls. Like, bro, listen, Canelo, you need this fight more than I do. Let's get that shit right out the way. Since I fought you, not only do people think you robbed me, you tested positive for a banned substance, all right? So you sit right the fuck there till I come back, because I'm going to go get the last belt. Hey, and then shit, and if we don't fight, who do you think it hurts? But what did he do? He prioritized the money.
An undisputed fight.
Look what Aaron Shim, the judge, said, dude. That's funny, man.
What?
He says, "You guys still talking about AJ versus the Wilder fight?" He goes,
"Oh, I mean, shit.
You guys have a better chance to get pregnant than seeing that fight happen."
Ain't that the truth?
Anyway.
Yeah, I look, if you go back to the videos I did at the end of 2017, going into the beginning and through 2018, I said they were not going to fight. I said they're not going to fight. That's not what this is. What they're using is the vitriol and the energy from the fight to sell Wilder, because most people don't like to admit this. When Wilder won the belt from Stavern, nobody gave a shit. Nobody cared. Now, when Anthony Joshua beat Klitschko, that's when all of that picked up. Like, oh shit, they got AJ, we got Wilder. And that's when all that bullshit started. Before, nobody gave a shit that he beat Stavern. Hell, nobody gave a shit that Fury beat Vladimir. Nobody cared. But until that fight, it was, I remember that, everybody stopped to watch. 860,000 on HBO, 600 and something thousand on Showtime in the middle of the day. We know it was big in the UK. 10 million in Germany. That is literally a fight that the world stopped to watch. It was then that all the shit started. And I'm like, look, this guy is obviously the A side to you. You know that. Yep, the people at Showtime know that. You don't sell in America what he sells over there. So logically, if you believe you can beat him and you believe in yourself, go over there and beat him. Oh, all right, you jackass. That's why you ended up getting the shit beaten out of you for less money. Jackass.
That was a cherry pick
million
gone
while they had
wrong.
the chance, you know.
And they really don't want to admit that Tyson Fury was a cherry pick gone wrong. At that time, he was on the rebound. Everybody knew it, from obesity and cocaine addiction. And before that fight, Fury did not have the reputation of being a puncher. Everybody who follows his career knows that. He was viewed as a finesse fighting kind of guy, very big. He can box, but he can't punch. That's how they viewed Fury. He was a cherry pick gone wrong. It wasn't until the second fight, after the Fury can punch? Yes, you dumb motherfucker. Because Wilder can't box.
Yeah, his comeback fights were universally panned as well.
You know what I mean? Like nobody, no. When he beat Vladimir, the way he beat Vladimir, because of how he beat him, nobody gave a fuck. Like, bro, that was literally outside of Huey Fury versus Joseph Parker and Bartholomew versus Easter. Fury versus Vlad at that time for me was the worst fight I ever saw. It was that bad. Like, bro, what is this? What is this shit? It was one of the worst fights I ever saw.
They kept tangling each other up and like
it was awkward and weird. Like what is this, right? So when Fury beat Vlad, it didn't do for Fury what AJ beating Vlad did, because that was a fight. Like, they going at it. Motherfuckers is getting knocked down. Right hands is landing. Left hooks is landing. Uppercuts is. It was beautiful, the shit.
Man, and I hate how Fury talks about that fight like he dominated Klitschko. Like, he went in there and he beat the fuck out of him. Like, you did not beat him like that, bro. Like, chill.
He talk about that fight like it was just this fucking, like, this Willie Pep moment, this Harry, like, no, fam. That's one of the worst fights I've ever seen.
That shit was Ali Foreman.
It was terrible, right? And that's why nobody gave a fuck about that shit. When Wilder won a WBC, it was, yeah, but nobody gave a fuck about it. Like, really, you think that beating Bermain Stavern made him a star? Bro, people didn't give a fuck about Wilder, and I could tell you the year, 2017. 2017. Look at his
right,
person.
I didn't give a fuck about him.
Listen, when the purse bid for Povetkin, because it went to a purse bid, most people don't remember. Who won the purse bid? Who won the purse bid?
The Russians. And then you know what? That's when I actually started caring about him, because I thought he was gonna go through that fight. And then when I saw that he pussied out, I was like, nah, hell no.
So how much did Al Heyman and Showtime care about Wilder? How invested were they in him then if they were willing to send him to Russia? This is what nobody gave a fuck. Nobody cared until they saw that there's another heavyweight in this division that sells a lot of fucking like, for a perspective, Charles Martin got a career high purse before Wilder just because of AJ. Wilder wasn't making what Charles Martin made in that one fight with AJ. He wasn't making that.
You know how much he got paid?
It was approximately $6 to $7 million.
Hey, that's good money.
What?
Yeah.
Look it up. Don't believe nothing I say. Do what I do and look it up.
That's Canelo
$6
money.
to $7 million. Why did they pay him that? And Anthony Joshua, which is why I have always respected him for this, he took a pay cut. I know I can beat him. He's the champion, though. So I have to give him something to come here. I have to give him something because he has something that I want. They gave him $6-7 million, bro.
I know we don't like to bring this up on the channel, but my Twitter just got restored, and I'm dying at all the shit y'all was laughing at, Jules with Ron and fucking clowning Art, man. That shit had me dying all fucking day.
God! Don't mention that little stick bug over here.
I couldn't respond because someone reported my account, and I couldn't do it for 2 days. But y'all was cracking me up.
Bro, do you see how that kid's mustache grows in, bro? It's like rat hair. Like it's like right on the lip. Like what about this part, bro? What about
Y'all
like
was
why is it
cracking
just
me
above your
up.
lip?
You heard
It
of
looks
build
like
a
one of those
bear?
black
Well, that's build a
caterpillars.
rat.
And the funny thing is,
Yeah.
Jules don't even look for them. They gotta find. They come to find him. They look for him.
Yeah, they seek him out, man. Period.
Bro, I'm telling you, I'm the beacon of light, yo. They fucking need me, yo. Whenever, look, if you just mention me in random threads and just watch the shit, bro, it's like fucking dominoes when you mention. People start, fuck him.
The funny shit is, Jules, people on boxing Twitter could be talking shit to each other, and then you're mentioned up, and then they team up. They're friends.
Yeah.
They gotta let our powers combine. F bullshit. What's up? But your powers combined. I'm on Julius's dick.
Go
Fucking
Power
great.
Rangers.
Go Twitter Ranger. That's like,
That
no.
shit. I've been laughing all day at that thread. That shit was cracking me up.
Garcia is the undisputed Twitter champion.
Bro.
I think we can all agree with it. We can all give him that title.
We can give him that. We can give him that. But
Hey,
don't,
Jules,
yeah,
I've
yo,
seen
you
your
gotta
name.
do is mention me, bro.
Dude, I've seen your name mentioned in a conversation too, man. Even on Facebook, man. Like I'm like, wow.
I've heard a lot of people, and I am proud of it because I did it remotely. It's like, bro, if I can do that to you psychologically.
Yeah, you living in people's head rent free, bro.
Bro, I
mean,
made
I'm
a
like,
dude park. Yo, I made a dude that was on the highway pull over to the shoulder.
wasn't that the dude who started yelling
Well, that's
at
bad,
you?
man. That's bad.
No, I'm dead serious. He was on the highway. He pulled over to the shoulder.
Yeah, and he started yelling at you, right? On the
He's
phone.
like,
Yeah.
I'm stationary. I'm like, bro, you're on the highway.
I think that's the dude who his brother was yelling at you too, and he got mad at you talking about his brother, man, and started yelling at you about keep your brother's name out of my mouth, or my brother's name out of your mouth. That shit was hilarious. That was
Like, yo, dog, man.
He couldn't just talk regular. He had to yell every single
Too
word.
easy, man. It's too easy. Like, it's too easy. Now I'm waiting for Mr. PBC to send me some money. Send me some money, man. Come on, give me that super chat, bro. Send that money in, bro. Otherwise, you don't exist. I gotta see money, bro. I see it.
Jules, this time next year, Devin's at 140 and Shakur's at 135.
Oh, there he is.
That's what I'm saying. He right there. I want that money. Give me that money, bro. I'll read
come out the pocket.
Canelo. Yo, let's talk about Canelo and how great he is.
And how he's gonna knock the fuck out of Triple G. And
I mean, guys like Mr. PBC, you know, they wish they had a Canelo because they don't. Like, you don't have a Canelo, bro. All the fucking fighters you like suck, bro. You wish you had a Canelo, bro. Canelo's a fucking hero, bro. He's so good that he could lose and we still fuck with him because he's that fucking good, bro. You got to be really
They
good.
waited until all this time, though, man, because I would have liked to see him and Triple G have like a more competitive fight.
Listen, I'm gonna rank him pound for pound, number one. I'm gonna fucking get a Canelo face mask and wear it on the next live when he knocks out Triple G, bro. He's the fucking best, bro. He's the fucking best, bro. You heard that, Mr. PBC? He's the fucking best, bro. And ain't shit you could do but send me your fucking money. There is nothing you can do but send me your fucking money or you won't get acknowledged. Nothing. Canelo, el baile del Canelo.
Shout out to Pretty Ricky, by the way. Shout out to Pretty
Ricky.
Ricky.
Making a merengue. El baile del Canelo.
I have to say this. People don't realize Michael B. Jordan's girl dumped him. And you guys want to know what her sign is?
What?
She's a Capricorn.
Hey, Jules.
I love it.
Hey, Jules, when you plan to make like a video with material from all these people, man, because you've been gathering for a minute.
I don't know. Like, it's because there's so much news that comes out daily that I get lost in it that I'm like, yo, I need to go back in a live and make a montage or like a yearly thing.
Yeah, no, it has to be at the end of the year moments, Jules.
Yeah, but then
Dude,
it's
hey, Jules,
yeah,
remember
but by the end of the year, I have so much fucking material, I don't know where to start.
I was
Jules,
mentioning to you, like, the
you got to break
craziest
it down.
people on
Break
your
it down by
channel
month,
or
then,
the
Jules.
funniest moments, all
Funny,
that.
you got to break it down by month. So these are the funniest moments of January, and then go
Let's
through
get
there.
back to Canelo. Canelo's such a great guy, man.
He's an excellent golfer too. I think he's going to make the PGA when he retires.
Easily, he's gonna make Tiger Woods look silly, bro. Like he just needs to hang it up, Like, I mean, who's better than Canelo, Mr. PBC? I mean, yeah, Bivol beat him, but who fucking cares? Who cares? Like, fucking Bivol. It's nothing. All right, Canelo,
Takes
bro.
risks, man.
By the way, y'all, speaking
Fighting
of
the best.
speaking of upcoming news, Creed 3, Michael B. Jordan. I think I know who the villain of the film is going to be.
Who?
Y'all remember that show? Y'all remember Loki? How that black guy showed up at the end?
The big guy, yeah.
They cast him. He's going to play a character named Anderson Dame, and like he got yoked up for the fight. And I think he's going to be an Adonis's villain rival in the film. I think.
Well, I mean, they trying to sell Adonis as a heavyweight at a time where the average heavyweight is about 6'6". So
I mean, what's crazy? Like in the first movie, he was a light heavyweight.
Yes, he wasn't even a heavyweight in that. And I'm like, how do you go from light heavy
to heavy?
Like if you look at the dude, the Serbian dude, bro, these guys are not in the same division. There's no way.
No. Nah. Like Victor Drago was fucking huge. Like just humongous.
He made Adonis look like a fucking welterweight.
I'm like, it's supposed to, like, I get it. It's funny. I predicted the movie, like when I first saw it. I'm like, okay, he's gonna lose this first fight to beat him in a rematch, and that's what happened.
Where Mr. PBC go? I want his fucking money, bro.
I know. He worked hard for that money. He worked hard. He said
Mr. PBC go. Come on, Mr. PBC, send that money. Come on, go into the savings. Go into the savings. Make a transfer. Come on, give me that money.
Julius, I have a legit question about becoming undisputed. Okay, what is better, going champion to champion to champion and becoming undisputed, or defeating one guy, the most dominant guy?
It depends, man. It depends. It's more like because I know what you're addressing, and it is it's legitimate because a lot of people feel like George caught Lopez at the most opportune time. I completely understand that. And that Devin's road to undisputed wasn't the same as Usyk's, which is true. What Usyk did was monumental. I can't stress that enough, but I don't rank Devin as high as I rank Usyk, do I?
Nope.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because he didn't achieve what Usyk did, and he didn't beat as many champions.
Yeah.
That's why I always take a head count that, you're undisputed, and so is he. But he beat Maris Briedis, Christoph Glavatsky. He beat Maris Briedis, Christoph Glavatsky, and Gassiev. He beat 3 at cruiserweight. He beat one guy. Now he went up to heavyweight, beat Anthony Joshua for 3 belts, and you beat one guy. I mean, I could literally take. I could take just one that I think is more solid. Beating Gassiev in Russia is more solid than beating George in Australia. Why? Russians and Ukrainians have always had beef. People didn't realize. Like I said it in the videos. People didn't realize it. They're like, that's fucking major, bro. He went to Russia and won a fucking decision. Wow.
Style points.
Yo, that was a big fight, right? I saw the arena they fought in. They packed that thing.
Right? And he went to Russia and won a fucking decision. Like it's so look, I'm not trying to belittle or minimize what Devin did, but I'm not doing anything now that I don't always do. That I've always done it that way. That not all undisputed runs are created equal. I certainly don't think that Devin's undisputed run is on par with Usyk's or Josh Taylor's. No, they had to fight some shit, bro.
I'm sorry. Like I love that he got undisputed, but when you get undisputed in one fight, there's gotta be nuance to it. He did what he had to do. He put the world in world champion. That's saying a lot. But
I think it's dope. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the same thing like Taylor. Taylor didn't have a lot of fights, and he had to go through some other. Ivan Baranchyk was an unbeaten motherfucker, unbeaten IBF champion, Regis Prograis, unbeaten fucking guy, tough fucking guy. honestly, I view Prograis as a stiffer test, even though it wasn't for Undisputed. But I view it as a stiffer test than George was, because when I thought about it, I'm like, what's George gonna do to Devin, man? Nothing.
I mean, we could just break it down like this, Jules. We got Usyk, we got Canelo, we got Charlo, we got Devin, we got Crawford. In this modern era,
Charlo's run, even though he lost,
Devin's is on the bottom of his run.
Even though he lost, I found it, and this is why I like Jermell. This is why I felt that he's the real thing. Jermell Charlo versus Tony Harrison is a stylistic matchup. Was the pure boxer versus the boxer puncher. And what you saw in the first fight, that's what that was. That you looking for the opportunity to knock him out. It's not there because he's responsible. He's staying behind his jab and he's moving. And he knows when to assert himself and get back out there. Get behind your jab. That's the first fight. And in the second fight, I'm like, nah, I'm going to go with Mel. I think he can figure him out. And he was down. He wasn't looking good. But when he knocked him out, that's when I knew, okay, this guy's the real deal. Because you don't have no stylistic advantage against this guy, but you still beat him. You still beat him. That's when Mel's the real motherfucking thing. With Rosario, well, you going to try to pressure him and get knocked the fuck out. So I figured that. I'm going to say the fight that Jermell fought in the second fight, that was the fight I was expecting him to fight in the first fight. I did pick him to knock him out in the first and second fight, but it took him 2 fights to do it. But it wasn't easy, and that's the point. It's not like you got it all in one fell swoop. No, you got to go through something to get them belts. You had to go through something. And Mel's run is more impressive to me because it's more difficult.
Look, this is what is get missed about more robust body of work. At fighting 4 guys to become undisputed, you are fighting 4 boxers with different characteristics, different strengths and weakness. So you are testing yourself in a way that a guy that becomes undisputed in one fight doesn't have. You are proving yourself not only you can fight one kind of guy, you can fight different styles.
Mm-hmm.
Look at, for example, Canelo. Canelo fight 1 boxer puncher and 2 pure boxers with different height, with different reach, with different punching power.
People don't want to take into account that they had physical advantages, and that's the shit that kills. They really think size don't. All right, bro, size don't. I'm like, you know what I mean? And that's the point that I've always made. That look, he came up against 2 base styles that don't actually do his base style any favors. The pure boxer, like Billy Joe Saunders, like Caleb Plant, that they're normally economic, efficient, and because he's good at what he does. I said Canelo has 2 base styles. The one he started out with, the boxer puncher that likes to counter, and what he's been doing lately. The pressure fighter that comes forward in a high guard. He wants the guy to throw the counter, so what he throws or whatever, right? And you got to be nice to do that, because a little while ago, if he would have came up against a pure boxer, he would have looked like he looked with Lara. That's many years ago. That's how you know he got better. He's faced that base style later on, and he knew what to do. Pressure the guy. Crowd him. Just come forward in your high guard. Take the shots, and when something lands, throw something back at him. He's a better fighter now than he was when he fought Lara. But the thing with Bivol, you have 2 base styles, right? None of them are going to help you with Bivol. Why? You tried the base style that works against the pure boxer the first time you fought him. You tried to apply pressure by coming forward in a high guard and letting him go. The reason it doesn't work with him is because you don't have the size for what you're trying to do. Size counts. Yes, you have to pressure Bivol. You have to throw. You have to crowd him. You don't have the size to do that as a light heavyweight, though. It's not going to work.
He doesn't have the punching power.
It's not there.
The stamina.
It's the right style, but you don't have the size as a light heavyweight, which is why I keep saying you could be at A-level, super middleweight, and then when you go to light heavy, you might get dropped down a notch to A- or a B+, because size matters, bro. Yes, it fucking matters, bro. That's why Chocolatito ain't get slapped till he got to the fucking super flyweight division, his 4th division.
Dog, can I just still say, Newey's a fucking bro. I still can't believe what I saw in the fashion that it happened. I was expecting that, But Jules, when's the last time we seen a legit pound for pound guy beat another pound for pound Hall of Famer in that kind of dominant fashion that fast?
What I like about Newey is he sees that the guy is hurt and he doesn't do what 95% of boxers do. 95% of boxers, they go crazy when they get the guy hurt. Watch that fight when he lands the short left hook on the inside. He literally pause and look at him because he's still picking his. I love it. Like he's still picking his punches. Like I ain't just gonna go crazy and throw bullshit that'll give me.
He noticed the clock though too, Jules. He's like, okay, I got one. I'll get him in the next round. But just the domination. We don't see that often no more like in the old days.
Listen, what 95% of guys, even the really good ones, they get the guy hurt and then they just start throwing bullshit. If you watch him, especially in Tuesday's fight, he got him hurt and then he just look at him and he's still picking the punches and they're landing, which is why it worked. Like, I ain't just going to throw any old bullshit. Like, nah, I'm still picking him. It was beautiful, bro. Fucking beautiful. Most guys you see when they get the guy hurt, they don't do that. They just go throwing bullshit. They go crazy.
They shoot for wad, man.
Yeah, like they go for the referee stoppage instead of no. I'm gonna knock you. Like he knocked him out, fam, with the left.
No, that's how I know Newey likes to hurt people.
He's a hero.
By the approach of that, he wants to hurt you.
He's a hero in my country.
Like you say, Jules, he turns samurai when he's in there. He's a nice guy, likes to shop, likes to look regular average Joe. In that ring, he goes crazy. He turns into something else.
And I like how efficient he is because one of the standout characteristics of an Newey fight is he doesn't waste punches. Watch it. He doesn't waste punches. You know, like it's not, well, I'm just going to touch him on the arm to set. No. He know when to throw, what to throw, and that's why motherfuckers go out. I reiterate, the same piano that I think Danny Roman went 12 with, the same piano that Luis Nery went 7 with. First 1-2 in the first round. Mop, fight's over. I was like, yo, this dude is wild.
Newey is the definition of when they say what's effective aggression.
Yeah, that dude is nuts, man. Like, I love, like, shit. I wish his fights lasted longer or there were more of them because it's like, yo, he kill these guys quick, man. Like, he kill them quick. Yeah, poor Butler, God bless him. He next.
And what does that say to Nonito to last for him in that first fight that long, too?
He was underestimated. Well, I mean, that's what it says to me. No, listen, most people don't remember that when the World Boxing Super Series started, nobody thought Nonito was going to be at the end of that shit. Yeah. Literally, nobody thought Nonito was going. They thought maybe it'd be Zola Anitate or maybe Ryan Burnett, but not Nonito. They didn't think Nonito was still going to. And when it's like, yo, the stars aligned, and he put up a hell of a fight. But I do think he was underestimated. I think because that's dramatic, bro.
He didn't know anything about him. He hadn't fought him yet, So I mean,
well, that too. But it's just like you figure, well, he's an old guy. How long is it really going to take? And Nonito just fighting his fucking ass off, man. But you see that, like in the second fight, all right, bro, I'm gonna treat you like you somebody that need to get treated. And the fucking fight lasted 2 rounds, bro.
Oh my God. Like Nonito's such a class act too, man. Just took victory. It just took his victory in defeat. Was a stand-up guy. It just shows the true stand-up like sportsman that he is. No excuses. He got me, man.
Well, him and Newey got respect for each other though, big time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Big respect. All right, before I close it out, let me read the super chat. Where Mr. PBC go? I wanted his money. Devin Haney should take a good pic of all his belts and email it to everybody.
That's good. That's a statement right there. He should email it to Ryan, to Tank,
that's funny.
Everybody who called him that shit, everybody who disrespected him, T.O., all of them.
He should send that shit to T.O. Yo, I would send it to T.O. a couple of times. I would spam the shit out his folder. Like, you the one that started this email champ shit, right?
How you like me now?
Man? How you like me now, though? Yeah, he should do that. I'm gonna call. I'm gonna call Punch and tell him to call Bill.
Thank you.
Everybody them belts, yo. Anyway, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure taking my old ass to bed.
Night, y'all,
fellas.
Deuces.
Hey, Jules, thanks for